meeting. Can we have a moment of silence followed by a pledge of allegiance led by Councilman Spiritus? United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America. Do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You recognize.
A couple of items. Item 11, it looks to be 11C, was added to the agenda. That's an item considering a lease extension over at the Port Center for the Riviera Beach Police Department. We're asking for that item to be recognized. Also, the mayor has requested an item be added onto the agenda, appointment of members to the Housing Authority. And then another item we would like to discuss, the Central Zone Beach Renourishment. I did send you a correspondence late yesterday evening concerning some beach erosion and some concerns that we have that are present and want to get direction from the board with regards to those matters. So 3 items, Central Zone Beach Renourishment, Housing Authority appointments requested by the mayor, and then the lease item at the Port Center.
Thank you. Anyone else? Additions, deletions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I can get clarification. The Housing Authority, is it on this agenda or was it on the original?
This is asking to be amended. We received a correspondence from the mayor late this afternoon about the appointment or recommendation for appointment of 3 members.
Okay, so can we decide where we're going to place that?
Yes. It would be staff's recommendation that that item be considered an item under consent.
3B?
3B, if the board is so inclined to support that.
I'm okay with that. Board members?
Mr. Chair,
You're next.
we're putting what under consent?
There was an email sent out requesting that we appoint members to the Housing Authority.
When was that sent?
Ms. Evans?
We received correspondence today at 3:28 for the item to be added onto the agenda.
Chair.
When did we get it,
Hold on
though?
1 second, Ms. Lanier. Go ahead, Ms. Miller Anderson.
Did you send it to us too?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Recognize.
No, I did not forward that correspondence to the board. I was asking for this item to be considered at this evening's meeting at the request of the mayor.
Right, so it shouldn't be under consent because I don't even know who we're talking about. I mean, I know it's his appointment, but how do we even know who he's talking about? If we put it under consent, can we have it as a presentation or something?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I can certainly send the correspondence that we received from the mayor, and then the mayor can provide any commentary with regards to the 3 members that are seeking appointment to the Housing Authority Board.
So we'll place it on regular agenda then. I did just see the email. I apologize, Ms. Miller Anderson. It was just sent to me as a chair. So if we can go ahead and put it on regular agenda, Mr. Evans, so we can have the discussion about the appointments as opposed to consent. Ms. Miller Anderson, any other questions?
No, that was it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lanier, you're recognized.
No, I was going to ask the same question in regards to why is it being put on consent and we don't know who the appointments are.
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
Chair,
you're recognized.
I see PD has equipment on here for $724. I'm sorry, $724,000 for tactical equipment. Does that necessitate being on the regular agenda? Is that something that can go on consent, as well as the lease agreement for the Port Center?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Recognized.
Both of those items can conceivably go on consent. The item for $700,000, that is an item that we've discussed in great length with the board for, that's the tactical vehicle that we did receive some federal appropriations for. And so this is the authorization to move forward with that. And then the item concerning the lease, that is for additional space to allow for the police department to be in one unit for the majors and the command staff. So those items are ripe to be placed under consent if it's the board's pleasure.
I am fine with it on consent.
Me as well. Board members, we're okay with that, adding those to consent? Okay,
Mr. Chair,
recognize.
we do have one public comment card on consent, item 3A.
Thank you. I'm sorry, did we approve the agenda?
No.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we haven't approved the agenda. Let's go ahead and before we go into that, let's approve the agenda first.
So moved.
We got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize Ms. Miller Anderson.
the lease for the police department, do we have an email for that information, or it was posted just recently?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Recognize.
that item was posted recently, late this evening, because we just got, I believe, this executed lease from the landlord late this afternoon, and it was and it went through the authorization process, so it is available online.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for approval of the agenda. Additional comments? Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier,
Yes.
Pro Tem McCoy,
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson,
Yes,
Councilperson Spiritus,
Yes.
Chair Lawson,
Yes.
unanimous vote.
Thank you. Items consent are routine in nature and passed by one single vote. Does anyone want to pull an item from consent?
3B.
You want to pull 3B?
Yeah.
What is 3B?
I thought 3B was the appointments.
No, that
No, we
was
decided
the
we're going to leave it
regular.
on
Oh,
regular.
okay.
Yeah, we're going to leave it on regular.
All right.
All right.
Mr. Chair, we have one public comment card on item 3A.
Thank you.
Verissa Das.
And while Ms. Birch is on her way, can we, do we have a motion and a second
I'm
for the consent?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Das, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'll try to be quick. My name is Verissa Das. I am the Port Commissioner for District 2 at the Port of Palm Beach. I need to clarify a lie that's been going around. There's misinformation that the port is enacting eminent domain against some parcels of land around the port. That is not true.
Move for
We-
humanity, Chair.
Ms. Das, we're on the consent item, and the only consented item that we have is the Adoption League of Cities agenda and platform. So if you'd like to come back for general public comments, you're
You
welcome.
want me to wait till public comment? Okay,
Just general
thank
public
you.
comments. Thank you. Any additional public comments, Madam Clerk? Thank you, Vice Chair McCoy.
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Lanier,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem McCoy, Councilperson Miller Anderson,
yes,
Councilperson Spiritus, Chair Lawson,
Yes.
unanimous vote.
Thank you. Awards and presentation 6A.
Item 6A is Riviera Beach Educational Advancement Directive READ Program.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
You recognize?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, this particular item was discussed as part of your budget discussions with regards to making a concerted effort to address some of the academic challenges here in the city of Riviera Beach. And so Assistant to the City Manager, Ms. Valerie Grimsley, has worked with City Administration to build out some nuances associated with the READ program. This evening, you'll hear a presentation that looks to have measurable elements that look to facilitate academic success in the city of Riviera Beach. And so we are asking for direction from the board as to how you would like to proceed. There are a couple of options that will be presented to you. One option being a staff managed situation, another one being hybrid, and another option where a private provider helps to accomplish certain aspects associated with what the overall objective is. We want to make sure that it is quantifiable as it relates to this program. And so we would ask for some feedback concerning how the board wishes to proceed, because after we gain your feedback, our intent is to move forward with some type of public solicitation process to get partners to help facilitate moving this particular program forward. So at this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Ms. Grimsley.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Chair, community. Our presentation, Walter does have it, but I'm not sure if he can pull it up for the community to see. Good evening again. My name is Valerie Grimsley. I'm the assistant to the city manager. I'm going to do a brief presentation on our READ program. The READ program was a director from city council to actually put aside some dollars to assist our students of Riviera Beach in the areas of language arts, reading proficiency, math, science, and social studies. As you may be aware, or may not be aware, a lot of our students are not reading on grade level. A lot of our students are not even on grade level in the math area, and we're very concerned that our students that have to pass the tests for science for 5th grade are not going to be able to get actually be proficient in those areas. So council gave a directive to put aside some dollars. The dollars that were set aside was $250,000 to actually move forward and to try to address some of those areas for our students of Riviera Beach. So that's what this presentation is going to be about. The program objective is, as I said, to improve student academics through personalizing student learning intervention, target literacy, math proficiencies, and positive behavior. We know that behavior plays a part in some of our students' actual learning, and that's also because they're not on grade level, so they tend to act out. Improving student approach to testing, so that's going to be a part of it, teaching our kids how to approach the tests. The duration of the program would be for 1 year. It's going to be piloted so that we can do a data matrix and bring that back to council so that they can actually assess whether the program is actually working or we need to make tweaks before refunding for the 2nd year. As you'll see on the screen, we have a student breakdown. The breakdown would be K through 3, 4th and 5th grade, middle and high school, which is be 6th through 8th, and then 9th through 12th. The middle and high school students will actually be, that funding will actually be intertwined with our youth empowerment program funding that's already budgeted into the general funds into our city. The program structure, and this will be the breakdown as to how we will assess the kids. We will do a pre-assessment through some software that is approved by school district. The second phase would be a plan development and engagement based off of the assessment. And then the third would be our approach to academic and behavior interventions as needed. And then, of course, we will provide a program evaluation to council as well as the community. Over the next few slides, you'll see how we will approach the students by grade level. The academic assessments will be 6 to 8 weeks to evaluate the gains. We'll do homework assessments 3 times a week. Homework assessments. After school group literacy and math by certified coaches, that would be 1 day a week. And that would be based off of the assessments. And then personalized computer-based academic technology programs that's district approved. And you'll see the district approved software that we have. And all this will be geared towards the state standardized test, which is the PM 1, 2, and 3. This is the 4th and 5th grade, which states the same. 6th through 8th grade, and 9th through 12th grade. Knowing that the 10th graders have to pass that state standardized test in order to actually be proficient in reading and math in order to graduate. While we're actually doing this, we know we need to address our parents. So we will do that through empowering videos that will be located on our city website that parents will be able to continually go back to if they need to, or re-educate themselves if staff is not available, or staff will be available to actually go with the parents to some of these meetings or things that they may be uncomfortable with at the school district to provide some support. Pre and post parent surveys so that the parents will let us know how the program is functioning. The pre-review expectation of the parent school conference. So we know that sometimes when our parents go to the school, if they go to the schools to participate in conferences, sometimes the subject matter is a little bit above their head for some parents. school district staff are on a, very short time frame. So sometimes the information that's given parents are not really clear. So making sure that we are preparing our parents for some of those expectations, and parent engagement classes to assess and create some empowerment plans around their goals. Because if we build a student, we have to build a parent. So that our student, it's a holistic approach. It's not a segregated approach. Some key performance indicators, so that we can know how to assess it, how to judge it, and how to place it on the data matrix. So you'll see some of this about increasing the test scores and the grades in certain areas, and increasing student positive class engagement, meaning lessening some of those school suspensions, some of those ISS or staying after school for detentions, or just the simple fact of making sure that our kids are actually going to school. Sometimes our kids are missing school based on some of the other issues that they may be having at home or in school. So attending one parent-teacher conference, PTO meetings, and open house. And the program incentives, we know we need to have them. So these are some of the program incentives we would add to it if need be, but this is where we would start. This would be a starting point. As I said, the program is $250,000 that was budgeted. That would be for hiring support staff, also hiring program provider, purchasing educational material and some of the technology that we spoke of, program monitoring and assessment tools. And the private provider, this is one of the things that we were looking at that we would need to complement this program with. These are some of the key areas that this program will actually be addressing. And we know the scope of services. So based off of the need, we would develop a scope as to how we would customize academic support interventions, technology integration, mentorship and behavior supports, family engagement, student motivation program, and comprehensive assessments. And at the end of the year, the council would actually be given an evaluation and a report on how this program fared out throughout the year. And at this time, we're asking council for recommendations on how we should proceed. And some of the things that we're asking is whether staff requesting direction on how to proceed, whether it would be staff managed, or rather it would be private providers, meaning we provide grants based on micro grants to outside providers, or a hybrid where it be internal and external. And then the allocation on the tier approach, performance-based funding, and public accountability of the funds that are provided to us.
Mr. Chair.
Mayor recognized.
Ms. Grimsley, do we have the staff? Are we staffed to be able to do this program?
We are staffed in the youth empowerment, and we already provide these types of services to ages 6 through 12.
So is this going to be run through youth empowerment, or are we looking for?
We're looking for the board to make those decisions.
Thank you.
Chair.
Ms. Miller Anderson, you're recognized.
Did we get with the education committee to see what some of their recommendations were? Or was this, any of this taken from any of those meetings?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognized.
I did attend many of the Education Advisory Committee and did share with them what the general concept of what the READ program was intended to accomplish. But as it relates to this particular presentation, no, they haven't seen this presentation, but they've seen some nuances of this presentation as to what the intended objectives were concerning the program.
Okay. One, I don't believe this is something the city should take on. I believe that this is something that we should get established educational consultants or tutorial businesses to administer. So maybe putting out like an RFP, because some of the things that are needed in order to monitor a lot of the successes that we're looking for, it's going to require a lot of human resources for this, especially if we're talking about doing K through 12. If you're looking to do like test prep in the higher grades, if you're looking to do like be specific in certain grades for whether you're talking about literacy, math, or science, that could get to be very complicated, and you want to make sure that people are proficient in what they're teaching or tutoring on. I think it would be most effective if we were to put out an RFP and look for those organizations that do this, that have an established business or nonprofit, something that has been established for at least more than 2 or 3 years, I would say, and they would need to show how they have impacted the group that they are already servicing. Personally, I think this is a lot to kind of suggest tonight. I would think this is something we probably need to workshop and put all of those things into place, because just to say we want to have a private provider do it, I mean, there's a little more to it than that. And I don't know that we have all the time tonight to really say how it should go. And I believe it's important that we have people, you know, in the education field or those who are involved with the education field to kind of weigh in on this, so that, you know, we're not making decisions just, you know, expending money, but we're not going to get any results from it. So my suggestion is, one, to make sure we put it out as RFP so that businesses or nonprofits that specialize in this can operate it. But obviously, we want to make sure we have some type of mechanism in place to monitor what they're doing and to make sure that we're continuing to see some success with it. And then if you are looking for specifics, tonight, I don't see us really giving the specifics tonight. And I think the education committee probably needs to weigh in a little more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller Anderson.
Chair.
Recognized.
Now, I have to agree with that, because this is my first time seeing this, and the education committee it hasn't met since January, but it would be something that could be brought to the committee in terms of
Hold on one
having
second. Hold on one
those
second, Ms. Lanier. Residents, please, this will be the last time. We do want to try to keep the noise down because it travels up here and we can't hear our colleagues. Go ahead, Ms. Lanier.
Yeah, I think that this definitely needs to come to the education committee. That committee is staffed with educators, principals, the school board representative. This is something that is very detailed. A lot of the stuff talks about the school board, but there are other ways in which our children learn. So I think that this has to go through a committee that is made up of educators and professionals in that area to be able to make a decision. But in terms of it being something that is in-house, that cannot happen. It has to be something that goes out to the people who actually do this kind of work every day. There are numerous tutoring programs, educational consultants that are out there that have been working in the city with the children already. So I think that having it come to the education committee and then making sure that that committee has a say in how this works. But in terms of it being in-house, that is something that the city does not have the capacity to do.
Thank you. And I would agree with you, Councilwoman Lanier. I don't feel like staff is suitable to handle this as of right now. My concern is that we've authorized this back in October, and this is the first time we're seeing it, and school year's almost over. So the issue and the reason we brought this to the board and the reason we got it approved was because we wanted to try to get it into the educational system, get it behind the residents, get it behind the students, and support them. And I don't know if I agree with necessarily putting out an RFP right now. I think we need to just issue, I like the micro grants idea, finding the organizations that are local. And that's what I was hoping we'd have some type of ability to get it out into the community. The private sector would do a much better job of handling that, while we can continue to be the policymakers here and staff can just run the city. Getting into that educational field, we're not equipped with the proper educators, as my colleagues have said before. So I do want to get the funds out as quickly as possible, though. And I just want to get it out into the community as quickly as possible. So whatever that means, I don't want to workshop it and brainstorm anymore. I want staff to just go ahead and let's start getting this out. So I would recommend the micro grant option to allow for some nonprofit sector to start pouring into. There's so many education programs now, but we do need some KPIs behind it. We want to see something that we can actually identify that they're bringing back to us, and let's build it out a little bit better. Councilman McCoy, you had something? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Mayor, recognize.
I like the micro grant too. Have you identified programs in Riviera Beach that are doing this type of work?
We have identified a few programs that are doing this type of work, and we're currently working with a couple of those programs.
So is this going to be where programs is it an application process where they can apply for the grants, or we haven't built that out yet?
We haven't gone that far to build it out.
So listening to Councilwoman Lanier, we have an educational board. From my head, so this is the first time the board has heard this. So I'm assuming the education board hasn't heard this. Is there a reason why? Like, if we have teachers and principals and everything was on that board, who built this out on this tonight?
So, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Recognize.
when we presented this item as part of the budget process, we had the discussion with the board, and then myself and Ms. Grimsley worked on the nuances associated with this presentation. But we did have conversations with the advisory board on the same presentations that you all saw as part of your budget process. Now, we didn't want to get ahead of ourselves and go to the advisory board without getting direction from the board. So if it is the board's desire to sit down with the Education Advisory Committee, create micro grants to help facilitate addressing the immediate needs, we can certainly do that. But we wanted to make sure that we capture what the intent of the board is before we started pulling things part and parcel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
So one of the things that we can look to facilitate, because I think if it's, the board's desire to move forward with this, I'm sure the Education Advisory Committee would have a special call meeting to discuss this, and then we can kind of develop some scopes for consideration, and then look to put those out for a competitive process to allow for some programs to move forward this school year if it's the board's direction. So the more clarity or direction you all can give me, we can facilitate and move as quickly as necessary. And then if this, we can build out the more robust program, working with the Education Advisory Board to build that out. So come, summertime school year, start of the new school year, we're good for the larger appropriation, because this is something that we wanted to do annually as part of our initiative to address educational challenges for our students.
Mr. Chair.
Recognize Ms. Miller Anderson.
Ms. Lanier and the committee, they should be able to call a special meeting maybe, and then you all can sit with them to just get some sort of ideas as to what would be impactful now. A lot of the schools are, just getting into which they kind of call like intensive preparation for the test. So you do have some time where we could get in at least a good month or two where they're able to help them, at the end. This is at the end of the year, so you're not going to get a lot done, but I think it's important for you to go ahead and get started. And then you can make sure that during the summertime where they drop off a lot, maybe we could utilize that time to have them involved in something. I think we could still get some use out of it. I know our goal was to try to address the entire school year, but that gap during the summertime is something that is much needed. So you could probably put a lot into it for that time. And then, like you said, by August, we'll be ready if we're going to be doing this every year. But getting with the education committee, I think, and developing a scope and having a competitive process. It doesn't have to be a full RFP, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months like we see with a lot of our other procurement projects for procurement. But it could be a shorter process for this, but definitely competitive, and they need to be established and have a track record of improving, the subjects. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I may,
You recognize.
to provide additional commentary, yeah, we would do a different type of procurement process that would be an expedited procurement process that makes sure checks the boxes that the board wants to be checked. The other side of it is, and it's complementary to this program, we are going to be issuing a solicitation for educational services, and the educational services is intended to augment our summer camp program, because one of the things we wanted to do is have more academic instruction as part of our summer camp. And so that's something that I know Parks and Recreation and procurement are working on, and getting that to see if we can have a provider. So we are looking through our own programming to address some of the slide that we see students have during the summer months. So that's another element that's separate and apart from the READ program.
Okay. So direction from the board. I heard a couple comments about micro grants. I know we're going to go back before the board. Do we have clear direction, Mr. Evans?
Purposes of obtaining clarity from the board, it's my understanding that the board would like for us to convene a meeting with the Education Advisory Committee, share the PowerPoint presentation with them, look to facilitate some type of micro grant scope or what have you, and then facilitate putting out a shortened procurement process to address what the need is in the community at this particular time, and then look to build out a more robust program for subsequent allocations as part of the READ program.
And that is to actually build this out for a consistency within our budget and an annual allocation. Hopefully, if the board will continue to support it. So not just rushing it out, doing it the proper way, but getting it out as quickly as possible, because there are the gaps that we need to start filling. So, board, are we okay with that?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Before we go on to the next item, I did say we're going to start public comments. So let's go right into public comment, general public comments, board.
I'm sorry.
You're recognized.
Go ahead. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. Public comment shall begin at 7:30 unless there's no further business of the city council, in which the event it shall begin sooner. In addition, if an item is being considered, the comments from the public shall begin immediately after the item is concluded. Please be reminded, City Council Board has adopted rules of decorum governing public comments during official meetings, which has been posted at the front desk. In an effort to preserve order, if any of the rules are not adhered to, chairman may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, or the building. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Thank you. We have 3 minutes. How many public comments do we have?
Mr. Chair, we have 20 public comment cards. The first,
Madam Clerk is going to be calling names. If you do hear your name, she'll be calling them 3 at a time. Please just line up so we can get through everyone's public comments and listen. And then at the end of public comments, either the city manager will address some of the concerns that are brought up. Thank you.
first speaker is Marissa Das, followed by Walter Hollifield, Robert Pierce, Javaris Yanes.
Welcome, Ms. Das.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa Das. I am the Port Commissioner for District 2 at the Port of Palm Beach. I just wanted to clarify some misinformation that's going around. There's currently a rumor that the port is enacting eminent domain concerning properties surrounding the port. That's not true. That is inaccurate. To the extent anyone is telling you that the port is currently enacting eminent domain, that is a lie. We were given a one-time grant to acquire parcels of land surrounding the port. This is, we have very few opportunities to grow. This is one of those opportunities. There are some homeowners who voluntarily sold their property to the port for a fair market valuation. They elected to do so. It was their decision. And there are some homeowners who decided not to, which is completely fine. We are not trying to acquire those properties. We have never voted to acquire those properties through eminent domain. So to the extent there's been a lot of attorneys outside of the port that have nothing to do with the port going around and telling homeowners that the port is going to seize their property. It's not true. Don't believe it. I just had to clarify that because I want you all to always know the truth, and I'm here to provide that to you. So thank you so much for having me and for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Das.
The next speaker is Walter Hollyfield, followed by Robert Pierce, Javaris Yanes, and Andrew Fontaine.
Mr. Walter. Okay,
Robert Pierce,
Mr. Pierce.
Javaris Yanes, Andrew Fontaine.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm with Manpower here in Riviera Beach. And we've been here for 30 years. And I live here in Riviera Beach. Our owner lives here in Riviera Beach. And we do skilled and unskilled staffing. And 90% of my employees are Riviera Beach residents. And I'm having a lot of struggle with, I hear a lot of talk from the city about trying to convince or talk to contractors about considering and giving opportunities to local companies. But it seems that there's no follow-up after that, because I am not having any luck with any of them. We've had 2 fire stations built lately, both of them using out-of-town companies for their staffing. I haven't had anybody at a condo on Singer Island built in the last 20 years. It just, it's real frustrating, because with our business being slow, I have these Riviera Beach residents that are, of course, paying local tax, local utilities, and some of them becoming homeless, because we have a lot more of my guys not working than are working. And so I guess I'm just kind of looking for help. And that's kind of the main reason I wanted to speak, because it just very frustrating. And the only other thing I'll mention is what I saw and heard about people that were elected by the citizens unable to run for re-election because of the paying out of a different account than a campaign. And to me, it seemed like that if you pay out of your personal, that's basically a donation to your campaign. But I just want to say, I just thought that was the craziest thing I heard. But thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments.
Next speaker is Javaris Yanes, Andrew Fontaine, Adam Smith, and Lloyd Brown.
Good evening to every leader here, as well as the community. My name is Javaris Yarns. I'm currently the Community Partnership School Director at John F. Kennedy Middle School. I wanted to take this opportunity to inform the community that John F. Kennedy Middle School is converting into a community partnership school. What that means is that this model brings together schools, universities, nonprofits, and healthcare providers in a 25-year agreement to offer comprehensive support services like academic enrichment, healthcare, and family resources, ensuring that students are ready to succeed. Currently, our core partners are the Palm Beach County School District, Florida Atlantic University, Children's Home Society as a leading nonprofit, and the Healthcare District of Palm Beach County. Currently, the Healthcare District has a mobile clinic directly on JFK's campus every Monday and Tuesday that is available to everyone, faculty, staff, community. And so my last thing I want to explain is that the community partnership schools are more than just a place. They are a hub for learning and an integration to the way that we do school now. So as we heard about kind of the READ program, some of those intricacies and details are currently going on JFK's campus now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Next speaker is Andrew Fontaine, Adam Smith, Lloyd Brown, and Gordon Hopkins.
Welcome, sir.
So I'm here to ask you guys to cancel the contract for the parking meeting, the parking contract that you have going on for Ocean Walk and the marina. I know it's been tabled to after vote or after the council votes. I think that's kind of sketchy. It should be voted on now to to get this contract dismissed and canceled. We've had many meetings with the city manager, with I think Gwen came to one of them. And these meetings, they feel like they're strong arming us, saying that we have to have this happen. We have to have the parking happen. And I just wanted to stop and to end it. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
The next speaker is Adam Smith, followed by Lloyd Brown, Gordon Hopkins.
Welcome, Mr. Smith.
I just want to talk about the parking too, because I think it's just going to hurt businesses. I'm a resident. I work on the island, and there's nothing finalized about what we would be charged, what we wouldn't be charged. It's also up in the air, but you want to put this parking in, and none of us know what's really going to happen with it. And from what I've heard, we've got so many names on the petition against it, and I just feel like you guys aren't taking it serious enough, and it's really going to affect businesses and everything across the board. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of employees that work in that area, and it's just going to be no good for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, sir.
My name is Lloyd Brown, and I'm not over here making any comments. I'm going to do something that's going to benefit me. Like I got 4 generators I'm selling and a couple other things. So like coming over here, you know, and asking them to do something, that's like crazy. I'm going to make sure I benefit off of this because I'm not benefiting from them. Yeah, I got 4 generators. I got a lawnmower. You probably need another frame, but it's started and everything is as is. And I'm gonna tell you like this, all you gotta do is come by there and knock on my door, 1464 West 35th Street. I got quite a few things that I can sell because they closed down the swap shop. That's what my daddy paid for the house that we had. They closed down the swap shop and it should have been there because I thought it was a historical place because we used to sneak in the back and watch naked movies, you know, when I was young. And that was a lot of fun. And I mean, and then we used to go out there when I grew up, and you could drink beer and walk around and you could sell things that accumulated in your yard. You can't come over here and bring no lawnmowers and stuff over here to sell. You can't come over here and sell anything except, what, fruit and vegetables maybe. But what I'm trying to say is if you need anything, just come by me. And if you got anything you want to get rid of made out of metal, just come by there and let me know. See, I'm trying to benefit off of this situation. I'm not coming over here to talk this BS about they talking about. And like I know we need a water plant, but I need to sell these things I got. So like the storm is coming. I had some shutters, but I got rid of them for weight. But I have I got lawnmowers if you want it. And then too, I do a little bit of work and I'm gonna start selling stuff, you know, like I ain't coming over here to get no permit because I see a lot of people in the neighborhood doing things and they don't have no permit, so I ain't getting none either. And it's like, why would I get a permit when if you get a permit to have a yard sale, you can't put a sign on the corner directing where you come. You know, they got to have ESP in order to find you. But I'm letting you know now, every weekend if you ride by there, I'm going to have something for sale. And if you want to know this, I'll tell you like this too. The generators, all of them work. And I know if you can't afford a generator, we'll make a deal. And I call my place, Let's Make a Deal in Riviera Beach. So another thing I gotta say, since I got 28 seconds left, I'm just gonna sit here and protest in silence. Thank you for your time and come on by and buy.
The next speaker is Gordon Hopkins, followed by Michael Jordan and Cindy March.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm also an employee over there on Singer Island, and that parking thing, I also vote against it. I think it greatly would impact, you know, the businesses out there, the promotions and stuff like that. You know, we have like motorcycle clubs come out there and, you know, hang out at the bars. It's like one of the very few places that still is, you know, free parking. It's a luxury. And I think you'd be taking it away from, you know, a lot of people. And yeah, all I can say is I'd like to vote against that. I think it would greatly impact, you know, my income. And it's already hard enough. You know, I got 2-3 jobs. You know, I'm always busy, but yeah, to not make money out there serving tables at least and you know, bartending, that's going to be a hard break. And I'd really appreciate it if you guys did vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Next is Michael Jordan, Cindy March, and Captain Looney Hazemer.
First of all, I want to say hello to everybody and be respectable, respectful in their respectable places. Whether you believe it or not, laughter is good for the soul because we know that everybody in here can be a little stressed. But now, right down to business, I know that we're in a brand new year and we moving forward. And I always hear them say they want to move the city forward. We got to move it forward, number one, off honesty. We have to rebuild the communication between you all and us as being the residents. Not only that, we have to have respect for one another, even when we're standing behind this podium talking to you all and when you all are talking to us. Okay, that's the only way we were going to be able to move forward. And I think that we're going in the right direction. But just so everybody will know, a kingdom against itself will come to ruin. And the reason why I say that, because sometimes you can come in here and you can cut the tension with your hand. And I'm not talking about the residents, I'm talking about staff. And we shouldn't be able to see that because it looks different sitting out here when you're looking up there. It's okay for us to disagree in order to agree. Because like I said, it's always about the business. It's nothing personal. I also want staff to be able to work in a place where they're happy to be able to go to work. The morale has to be boosted. Of course, the communication has to be a whole lot better because sitting out there and even looking at it when I'm looking at it on YouTube, there's a breakdown in communication. Okay. People saying that they're not getting emails, they're missing emails. Every time we get here, the agenda changed 50 times from where it was in the beginning. So I'm thinking that we shouldn't even put it out there on the website because it's going to be different when we get here anyway. So like I'm saying, it's just to encourage you all and don't take it personal. It's strictly about the business, which I really wouldn't matter to me if you took it personal anyway, because I'm just speaking the facts. And you have to show up not only when it's time to vote. People need to see your face all during the whole entire year, working on their issues from your district, okay? I'm not pointing out a single person. I'm talking about everybody, okay? So in order to get something, you have to give something, whether it be your time, your attention, or just a 5-minute conversation. It's very, very important, okay? I have to do that when I'm working, whether I want to do it or not. Even when I'm not working through my church, in my neighborhood, because guess what? It takes all of us to be able to move this city forward. And I have to have respect for everybody. So that's all that I want to say. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I support everybody if you're doing the right thing. And when you're doing the wrong thing, trust and believe. I'm the voice in the wilderness. I'm going to call you out.
Thank you for your comments.
Next speaker is Cindy March.
Good evening.
Captain-
This is Cindy. I had asked Deidre Jacobs, Mr. Evans, who is this mystery woman? I did not get an answer. So since you're here tonight, and if the mystery woman is here, I'm not the only one want to know who the mystery woman is. Is there any way at the end of the night, could you let us know who this mystery lady is that you had to oversee the city clerks or help with the city clerk office? We would greatly appreciate it. Then Doug Lawson can stop thinking Trotter got him where he can't run and win his seat back again. Because if it had not been for the mystery woman giving the misleading information, he would have then knew how to process his payment. But he should have known anyway because he had ran twice. So if there's no hard feelings with you, we want to know who this mystery woman is, not just me. A lot of people call and text me and say, Cindy, well, who is this mystery woman? We would like to know. So I'm asking you for that. As far as this water is concerned, if we paying $400 million for a new water plant, everything should be new. Everything should be new. It shouldn't be no low water pressure. And Woodbine still gonna have low water pressure because they said it at the meeting, at the workshop. Lanier, I need you to find out the real meaning of being honest and transparent since you went to FAMU, because evidently you don't know. You have not been honest with yourself. You have not been honest with the residents. I'm not asking nobody who to support and who to vote for. But if they sit at home because they don't come to these meetings, they watching this. And it's utterly ridiculous. You all sit up here like it's a game. You know, I got sick. A lot of people got sick with the water. Water is our number one priority. And when I come to this meeting, it's from one price to another price. I'm not knocking the new water plant, but I don't see where it's happening, y'all, because there's too much misleading information. Don't nobody know nothing. And some people got their hands in too many jobs so they can't do the main job. We want to move this city forward, and chaos, this is what you call chaos. When you mislead and represent people the wrong way, Douglas Lawson. We had so much respect for you in your first term, but you have really shown us who you really are, not by who you support, but what you do and say. You're not honest with yourself. All I'm asking you all to do is be honest with yourself. Set yourself free of honesty, and then we can respect you. We can support you. When I knock on these people doors, I'm not knowing if I'm going to get hot water thrown in my face because they sick and tired and they tired and sick. But I'm not going to stop doing what's right. Tragic, we appreciate your honesty. We appreciate your transparency. You know the charter. And you stand up. If you got to stand alone, you stand alone because you stand on business. Father, I'm praying that we get you back as the mayor.
Thank you for your comments.
The next speaker is Captain Looney Haysbert, followed by Nicole Thomas and the armed fisherman. Okay.
All right. Yes, I am Captain Looney. I work here in the marina in this area. I have for almost 20 years. I've lived here for 45. I know, I'm old, shush. All right. Guys, I am a local. I am a resident. All right. I do not like this whole parking idea. I get it. You guys are going to sell out to Margarita Villa at some point. I get it. But in the meantime, why waste my taxpayer money on a parking thing that you don't need? It should be free. Parking should be free at the marinas. I get maybe Singer Island might do something. I don't know. But why are you lumping in the marina with them? No offense, guys. I love you. But the parking at the marina doesn't make any sense now. It's not going to make any sense soon. You guys are going to put some kind of giant free, or not free. It's going to be a parking garage underneath some kind of giant condo. We already know that. So why are you trying to implement some kind of parking thing here now? It doesn't make any sense. It's just a waste of money. So if you want to waste money, don't do it with mine. That's all I'm saying. All right? I live here. I work here. I play here. And I really do not want to pay here. All right? Because that's your whole thing. See what's underneath? See, I know these things. All right? People are paying attention. All right? You say you want to do, you want to make water sports available for everyone. So make them pay for it? Like, all you're doing is adding to what you're already getting. You already get expenses. You already get parking fees. All we want is a little more security. Really, that's all we're asking for. That's all anybody's asking for in Riviera Beach anywhere. So do that. But you've already said that this parking thing's going to go to whatever you want. That doesn't make sense either. So be transparent, like my lovely lady said beforehand. Be transparent and tell me, where's the money going? What's it for? And who's doing it? Because I know somebody's getting a kickback somewhere. It's the only reason. There is no reason. Why would you do it now when you already have a parking garage going in? Other than you get a kickback. So, don't want to pay here.
The next speaker is the armed fisherman, followed by Lady Goldwire, Erica Davis, and Ed Dooley.
All right, how are y'all doing? Hope y'all are living the dream. My name is Mike Taylor, the armed fisherman on YouTube. I came here because I saw a video on YouTube from a gentleman named Honor Your Oath. Just about everyone on this dais is sworn an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution. every one of the police officers here in your city have sworn an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution. But for some reason, somebody comes in with a sign that says, God bless the homeless vets. And your officers and who, God knows who else, wants to persecute a man for holding a sign that says, God bless the homeless vets. And they were like, oh, you're asking for money. You're asking for money. You can see it right here. I'm a taxpayer. Y'all got money I need money for guns and ammo. I need money for guns and ammo. Are you going to do the same thing? And now I'm actually panhandling under the guise of whatever you guys want to say. And then once again, I briefly spoke to the attorney. Here's a Supreme Court case law. Well, actually just in Florida. David Wartros versus State of Florida. If somebody wants to ask for, if somebody asks you, say, hey man, you got an extra $1? As long as they're not trying to say, hey, you got to give me an extra $1. As long as you got an extra $1, I need money for guns and ammo. It is legal for that to happen. So under David Wartros versus State of Florida, any homeless person or anybody in this room could ask for $1. We should start asking these people for their money. They're willing to spend $400 million. I didn't even know anything about this. And so now I'm from Port St. Lucie. I'm from an hour north of here. So I guess my eyes are going to be focused here. The second court case is going to be Cohen versus California. And like the gentleman said about, come get your generator, come get this. Cohen versus California allows somebody just to stick a sign on their own property saying, hey, I'm selling something. I don't know when the government decided they wanted to try to dictate to us how to live our lives. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, here we are. We give you millions, and you just take millions from us.
Good comments.
The next speaker is Lady Goldwire, followed by Erica Davis and Ed Dooley.
Hello, Lady Goldwire. I'm here tonight to have a conversation specifically with Councilwoman Lanier. During my tenure here and long after I left, there were some interactions indirectly between myself and her relative to the position that you took, that I was unqualified, that I had lied about the educational experience that I had. And I've only ever asked for, when I pray to God, two things: patience, with the understanding that I would get another time at bat, and the opportunity to address you directly. I saw you a few weeks back go to a special meeting, and your total disregard and disdain for the skill set and the education and the advice of the then city attorney, now city attorney, was out of order. It was inappropriate. But what I can say now is I have a better understanding of why you believed that you knew best. It's because you're under the impression that you attended FAMU School of Law and earned a master's degree. I want to say I will be the first to come back here and apologize to you and offer you respect that you never showed me in the event that I am wrong. But I called today and under the guise of favor was able to verify that unless you obtain that degree under a different name, and since you put your application into the city of Riviera Beach and followed it up by your county, that you may not be telling the truth. As opposed to calling you a bold-faced lie, I'm going to render you respect that you did not give me. But there's a quote that says, we lie the loudest when we lie to ourselves. You can't tell a bold-faced lie if you're lying and then ask the constituents to vote for you in good faith that you're going to stand on truth. You say, oh, I'm honest. I was present when you were terminated the first time. I heard the conversation, not directly between you and when you were let go, but I heard the reason as to why, directly for the then Human Resource Director, Bruce Davis. All of the items in your personnel file that supplement what I heard have disappeared. But you don't tell the truth. Again, if I'm lying and I didn't affirm what I'm telling you that I affirmed in front of all of these people that you were lying, I would simply ask for you to provide the date and year in which you graduated so I can come back and render you the apology that you're due.
The comments.
The next speaker is Erica Davis, Ed Dooley, Joseph Dodona, Mary Brown.
Erica Davis. Welcome, Mr. Lynn.
Hey, I'm also here to address the paid parking situation. In February 1978, I got my driver's license and I got my first car. And the first place, or one of the first places I ever went, was the public beach in Riviera Beach and the Ocean Mall. And at the time, it was accessible, open, and free to everybody. Pretty much over the last 47 years, it has remained as such. Things have changed some, businesses have come and gone, but the whole entire area around the public beach was open to everybody and anybody. I don't understand why we would need to change that. As the entire North County area becomes wealthier, more affluent, and more exclusive, that area is one of the few places that the average person can go and enjoy. I'm not sure how we got to the part of our society in which everything needs to be monetized. It doesn't, and it shouldn't be. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Joseph Dodona.
Good evening. I'm the president of the POA, Property Owners Association for the Seawinds Complex on Singer Island. We have an access agreement on the north side of our property for the fire department to get access to the beach. And during the storms, early 2024, the northeast storms, the beach and the access agreement, where we have the access agreement, was completely eroded. And we are now in an emergency situation. We only have till March 1st to put sand in, because the turtle season starts at that point. So we'll be subject again to these northeast storms and to the hurricane season. And the situation is such that the ocean could actually come into the main road. So we're trying to ask for help to get some sand for that area so we can maintain that agreement for the fire department. And also, if you need the area for nourishment of the beach in the future, we'll gladly give you that access. We're just in a situation where we have a few weeks, only days, actually to get this done. And I'm asking you for your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Mary Brown, followed by Mrs. Williams, and the last speaker will be Chandra Stringer.
Yeah, I'm gonna put some big screen. Yeah, right. Yeah, yes.
It's Mary Brown, Riviera Beach. Just to remind the general public that the deadline to request that a vote by mail ballot be mailed to you is 5:00 p.m. on February the 27th, 2025. So please, if you want an absentee ballot, you must act ASAP. I'm going to say something about the presentation. See, you're not allowed to speak there. But That is good because there's so many critical programs in this city here. And when I'm out, your general employees know when they see me that people come to me and they tell me about their programs with their kids. I can't have this man running all over the city, Brother Carl, all the time. See here? Last week I had to tell him, you're pushing the same program here that you've had 40 and 50 years. And know what he said? You're right. 40 or 50 years. He's still pushing this program, Shirley. You got to do better too to address the needs and concerns of all of these children here. Not just parlaying with who you want to parlay with. See, I'm straight up. Inlet Grove, Marine Technology Academy, they are accepting school applications. It is an A-rated school. So please, parents, get your kids lined up. The Q Lounge, Northwood Road. That is a nice setting, and you can go there for happy hour. Miss Brown was there about 3 weeks ago. Very, very nice. So come out and enjoy it. And it's another nice lounge that's called the Lux Lounge. It's located right there on Tamarind. It's beautiful. It's got a recreation for your children. It's a setting that you can have engagements and everything. It's called the Lux, Lux. And then the Q, CREU, that's located on Northwood Road. So, you know, it is places for you to go. I am all for transforming this reading, reaching our kids, and all of these programs in this city here to be opened up and not just let 2 or 3 people that Miss Brown know and others know too, always going around peddling this money here. We have to do better here. We have to do better. We talk about Cedric Thomas. Yes, Cedric know Miss Brown very well. You see this card here? See, I keep all of this history stuff. The friendship of those we share. This dates back to 2011.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
He always respects
Ms. Brown,
Miss Brown.
thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Respect
Clerk?
is due from all of
Mrs.
you.
Williams,
Thank you.
followed by Chandra Stringer.
Ms. Williams? Here they come.
She's back there. Ms. Williams?
Good evening to the council, the mayor, the chairman. And I'd just like to give a special thanks to Mr. Spearman. You know, they talk about the water and everything. He came here about 3 years ago. He brought in all the stuff we need to try to come from the government to help us build this water plant. We tell about 1958 and all this here. And most all these people been on this board here before you got here, and you saw what was going on. But yet now you want to make like thing, but you need to give him some prop for what he tried to do here 3 years ago. Then you got upset with Mr. Troject because he brought up the shortcoming. Let's make it a long, not short, but long to get this plant built. It can be done, and the water is still not clear. It's still not good enough for us to drink. But let's do it. And we was at a debate the other night, last night. And when the moderator got up in there, she gave the first question. You have a person that's running for his seat, and he live in that district. The first thing he said, he just really written into Mr. Troject. You was this, and people say you that, and all. He didn't even answer the question they told him, but he just trying to degrade him. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna vote for him. I hope all the rest of you vote for him. And Mr. Thomas, Miss Lanier, I know you. You might not think I know you. I do know you. I don't think you know me. But I'm going to vote for Mr. Thomas. You've been here. You know about the water. You started about 5 or 6 months ago having all these meetings about the water. You've been here about, what, 6 years, 9 years? You didn't get into it about that water. No, we need it that bad. So while all of a sudden you come up for election, you want to, oh, the water, the water, the water, water. No, you didn't. You didn't care about the water, whether we got sick or what. I see you smiling. Even when somebody get up and call your name, you just make a good old smirky smile on your face. But we here to say, thank you for being back, Mr. Evans. We want to let you know, I'm going to vote for Mr. Thomas and Mr. Tragic. That's up to you all. But look at the record and listen at the things they have done. And to say on this board here, you say you're doing this thing, doing this thing. I see all these posters up here with you. They've got you and different. Some of you haven't done what you did, yet you say you're endorsing these people. For what? You've been on the board with them. But you're endorsing them for you didn't do nothing and they didn't do anything. So y'all do it right and get it right.
Your comments.
The last speaker is Chandra Stringer.
Good evening. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Yeah. To the mayor, to city council, city attorney, and to all the council people. I am Chandra Stringer, resident of the city of Riviera Beach. I brought my phone so I don't get distracted and stay on course. I have a few questions and then a few comments. My first question is, when can we expect the annual water quality report? The last one on the website is from 2023. That's my first question. The second question is, I looked at the agenda and I seen that there is a appropriation for funds for public art. Not that public art is not important, but I'm asking, can we please delay it since we have so many other things that we can be putting that $250,000 towards day-to-day living and some type of relief for residents, considering we're getting ready to go into another water increase and ongoing water issues. Number three, I don't remember, so I'm not saying it was. I'm asking, were there ever new water meters were supposed to be installed? If they were, when can we expect them? Because I don't have one. If I'm incorrect about it, is there a possibility to implement smart water meters to sort of kind of counteract the process and the length of time it will take for the new water plant to be built, to create some type of trustworthy water quality? Number four, the READ program, as you guys were talking about the tutoring part of it, I want to make sure that you guys include the parent engagement. A lot of times, part of the problem with our students, thank God my child is 28, parents don't know how to advocate for their children. They get so emotional because they're having to deal with work, bills, rent, family matters, and all of this stuff. So by the time they get to the school, they may not be in the best emotional state of mind to talk to the teacher, the principal, or the guidance counselor. So as you're doing your grants, please make sure that that parent engagement piece is a part of that. Two more things, got 49 seconds. The other thing is, when we're explaining the water plant and all of that, can we please create some kind of cartoon or something that's applicable to the average citizen? I have a master's degree, considered to be quite educated, but I'm just as lost when you guys are talking and asking questions. Make it engaging and put it on the website so people can know how the water plant works. Why are you paying these people almost $5 million as a consultant? All of those things will help us to not only comprehend, but trust and endorse the process. Lastly, voters. I know you're watching because you tell me you're watching. Please vote March the 11th. When you don't vote, you vote because you give the people the power to make the decisions for you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mr. Chair, that's the last public comment speaker.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Mr. Evans, you want to address the comments from the public now?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. With respect to the item concerning manpower and their involvement in capital projects, I'll get with the capital projects team. I think we have a meeting, if I'm not mistaken, actually tomorrow. So I'll get with the capital projects team as well as procurement and see if there's any way to integrate manpower into some of the capital projects and programs that we have for skilled and unskilled labor and see what we can do to help that particular business. With respect to the parking item, obviously there's been a lot of conversations concerning parking. We've had a couple of parking meetings and have gotten some feedbacks from both the residents and the business community. We are going to look to have subsequent conversations with the business community as we have some new ideas based on the feedback they provided us. And then we want to then come back before the board in a workshop format to have a more robust conversation about parking, because we do believe that most of the issues that have been communicated to us that are concerns for our business community, that we can in fact resolve or address even some of the concerns that our residents have had. And so we do have a survey that the business community and our residents have provided us with. And so we are going to share that information. And obviously you did hear there is a petition that is circulating that's in opposition of the parking. But we do want to assure the board that prior to any type of implementation or moving forward with this, there would be a discussion with this body to get some feedback onto how to address the concerns that has been expressed throughout the community. So we're still working on that and look to bring that forward for your consideration. It was mentioned about the water pressure issue in Woodbine. We've taken staff out there and we have looked to address the water pressure issue in Woodbine, and we've looked to see if there was any valves closed and resolved any of that issue. What we've seen is any time that there is water pressure issues, invariably there's some type of alternative systems that residents may have connected to their home. So if there is water pressure issues, please reach out to the utility special district and we can have our staff go out there and take a look and find out what the pressure is coming from the line and resolve any issues that may be present in your neighborhood. And that's citywide if you have some concerns about water pressure. The comment concerning the beach item, that's the email that I communicated to the board yesterday concerning the sea winds and the Ville Delfino. There is some concerns there with significant erosion that occurred as a result of the storms in 2024. It has rendered one of our beach access points non-accessible, and there's a significant drop-off. And in the event that we had to have emergency apparatus access the northern part of the beach, it is quite dangerous, and we would have to gain access through other parts, and our emergency vehicles would have a hard time trying to access that. And so one of the items that we do have on the agenda for discussion and direction from the board is if the board would be inclined working with staff to facilitate the appropriate emergency declarations to look to facilitate the deployment of staff to address the issues. The county did communicate to us that they had some concerns with the accessibility issues, and that was really the reason why they weren't going to move forward with resolving that particular issues. But we've had the opportunity to be on site with a provider, contract provider, and Councilperson Spiritus was there with me, and we do believe that there is a safe way to be able to deposit the appropriate amount to shore up both the access point and some of the dunes there that were eroded away back in 2024. So that's something that we do want to have conversations with the board. As it relates to the water quality report, we can make sure that the 2024 is on the website. And I believe it's the consumer confidence report, and I would have to defer to Ms. Jacobs. I think that may even be mailed to households as well. But nonetheless, we'll get that particular item up on our website. We do have smart meters or meters that capture the flow, and it's through a electronic system. But it only looks at flow and capacity, but it can detect whether there's leaks or there's excessive usage. So that is installed. Now, there is situations where we've had some of the meters have issues throughout the city, and we have looked to address that. The READ program does incorporate a parent engagement component of that, because we know that that's an important part. And we are going to look to have that discussion with the Education Advisory Committee and get some more discussions on that. And with our new communications director, we are looking to put out some information concerning the water plant and some investments and things that have moved forward with the utility special district in a way that persons can understand. The the consumer confidence report is due by July 1st every year, and I believe, Ms. Jacobs, correct if I'm wrong, that gets mailed out? Or do we? Yep, yep. So our utility customers get our consumer confidence report, and then we have to post that on the website and the like. So we'll make sure the latest version of that is on the utility special district website. And I think that was it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Additional comments from the board? Additional comments from the board? Nope. And Mr. Evans, thank you for addressing the manpower. I've personally seen a lot of the efforts that they've been working on and their business adjacent to current business of mine. So I definitely want to see if we can assist with them with any of the support and give them a relationship with the city. So they've been in the city for many years. Additional comments?
Mr. Chair?
Dr. Spirit is your recognized.
Okay.
Dr. Spirit is your recognized.
Okay. Chair and board, I was present at the parking meeting that the city manager held here at the marina with those people that are being directly affected. Those are the restaurants and store owners on Singer Island at the Ocean Mall. I do believe that we should revisit what we voted on previously. You know that I spoke out against this charging for parking numerous times, and at our meeting, I did vote yes at that meeting, and I just want to make it very clear the reason I voted yes is because I had to vote yes in order for someone to make a motion to revisit this and turn it down, a second time. I'm looking forward to doing that. I think that we put the cart before the horse. I think that we need another few years to see what's going to take place at the marina and at the Ocean Mall area. I think that if the city manager, and I believe the city manager is making a lot of recommendations based upon the board's direction when we voted for this, and after he's heard the store owners and the people speak with reference to the charging for parking. So I just look forward to having this workshop and having this on the agenda so that I can make a motion if necessary. It depends what happens at that workshop, but more than likely I will make a motion. I will look for support from my colleagues to table this indefinitely until we have more information and we see what the development at the Ocean Mall and the marina is going to be. And I'm just looking forward to this. I hope that we can get this on the next agenda, as quick as we can, because these people do need to know what the future is going to be. They run their business every single day. They work many, many hours. We have many, many employees there that are going to be impacted, as well as the residents. So I'm looking forward to the city manager's presentation and additional presentations at that workshop. And hopefully we can discuss this at the next council meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
You're recognized.
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Dr. Spiritus, but also we brought this item up in 2019 about doing a parking study to see what amount of money that the city was missing out on. What I don't want to do is, do I believe residents should have special pricing? We can debate that. What I do know is this. When I go to West Palm Beach, when I go to Delray Beach, when I go to Boca, those places are not short of people because of parking. One of my main concerns is, now, a young lady came up, and I respect her. She says, one of the things, if we receive money for parking, where's that money going? I think we need to be able to answer that question. The backs, what's going to come upon the backs of our people is right now, we have bonds that's going to be coming out. We have old bonds that the residents are paying now. You're going to have bonds a couple of years later, it's going to be coming out. We have this water issue. And so, the city has to be proactive to see how everybody's going to be affected. if I'm hearing that water is the most important thing in our city right now, everybody has to give something. You know, I mean, whether it's the east side, the west side, the south side, we have to give up something. And if it's a way where, you know, if we're putting in systems that's going to keep, you know, little Miss Sally from having to pay a big amount on this water, we have to find ways. So I get it, but I don't want to take off the table. You know, we're elected to make the best decisions for the city. And you're not going to always be like, but stand on your principles and what you believe in. If it's just going to help us in the long run, people will see that. We can't make short-term decisions based on not being liked or not being voted for, but it's going to have a long-term effect. We're not bringing no more money in the city, and we're finna spend a lot, y'all. I said again, we finna spend a lot of money in the city. And I'm gonna tell you, we don't have it's not going to match up to what we're bringing in. So we have to look at that. And everybody has to be a part of, you know, we joke about a $400 million water plant. It's gonna cost that, or let me tell you something, it's gonna cost more than $400 million. You know why? Because eventually we're gonna have to address the underground, right? And I know people don't want to, you get shaky, but that's just, we could be talking about up to $1 billion to address the whole water infrastructure when it's all over and done. So let's not play these games. Everybody's going to be affected. My mom was 84 years old. Her water bill go up. Well, we pay it, but we're going to have to pay it. Everybody has to buy in. So I get it. I don't want, you know, let's have this workshop. If we're going to get residents a discount, let's do that. But let's not start the process. You know, I think from the last studies, it was like 2 million. I agree with the lady now. We have to be able to share where this money is going to go. I agree with that 100%. If we're going to bring in $2.5 million from parking, where's that money going to be allocated at? Let's deal with that. But we can't just take off stuff, and how are we going to get this stuff done? We can't pay for a $400 million water plant and everybody's not affected in some type of way. Come on. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments from the board?
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized.
I'm glad that the mayor intertwined the water issue with the parking issue. These store owners are going to see, these restaurants especially that use a lot of water, are going to see a 39% increase come October 1st in their water bills. If you add on to that a parking fee for people coming to their place, they're going to have to raise the price of their food. We're trying to encourage people to use these restaurants and come to these stores. There's more than restaurants at the Ocean Mall. I think we're going to be discouraging people from coming to Singer Island. The monies that we think we're going to get are not going to be there because you're going to have empty buildings. So people are going to have no reason to come there. It's going to be the same as Juno Beach and Jupiter without any restaurants or without anything at the beach. So I think we have to really reconsider this and rethink what we did. That's the reason that we have the ability to pass motions and rethink. Thank goodness we haven't put it into effect at this point. But I do think we have to revisit this. I know the city manager heard these people, and I know that he's rethinking how we're going to implement this. But if we're not going to get the income that we thought we were going to get, so what's the point in even doing it? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe it'll make sense 5 years from now when the businesses grow, when the south end of Singer Island grows, which I expect that it will, when the mainland grows, which we know that it will, on the Broadway corridor. Maybe we'll have the ability when there's more people and more money here to justify charging for parking. But I don't see it right now. And I just think that we should revisit this. So please, Chair, Mr. Manager, please have this on the next agenda so that so these people know what to look for and what the future brings for them, the immediate future. These people are working very, very hard, and it's important to keep them here in Riviera Beach. So please listen to the people, and please let's not postpone this anymore. Let's get this. Let's rethink this at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for comments. 6B.
Item 6B, Community Grant Program.
Thank you. Mr. Evans?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Pursuant to the board's request for staff to facilitate a community grant program, this evening we have a presentation to share with the board to get your feedback concerning a community grant program that invariably would look to address some of the items. And so I'll ask for the assistant to the city manager, Ms. Valerie Grimsley, to walk you through the community grant program. And if the board can provide us direction concerning this, we could definitely move forward with the next steps in the process.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Grimsley.
Good evening. Again, Mayor, City Council, community. As the manager stated, my name is Valerie Grimsley, and I'm here to present the Community Grants Program, which you are aware that we've already budgeted $100,000 in this year's budget to actually implement this program based off of your recommendations. The Community Grant Program will provide neighborhood-based groups and organizations funding to offset project costs, as well as to improve the quality of life in our community by providing financial assistance, training, and technical support to our residents. So in order, I won't read it all since it's up on the screen, and just to make sure that we are efficient in your time. The way we broke it down was by doing some micro grants, and the micro grants would be based up to $500, $1,000, $3,000, and $5,000, which would equal up to $100,000. The grant timelines, we would be accepting grants twice a year. Beginning October 1st, and the second grant would be April 1st. Who would be able to apply, and what would be the general requirements would be the nonprofits, educational groups, neighborhood engagement groups, religious institutions, community sporting youth groups, art and cultural projects, and environmental groups. And due to limited funds, it would only be one application per year per group. Some of the general grant requirements would be that they would demonstrate a project need by meeting the minimum requirement, be a nonprofit or a 501c3, and project the maintenance into a sole responsibility of the applicant. Minimal eligibility requirements will be proposed. Project must be directly involved in engaging our community here in Riviera Beach. Some of the qualifying projects must fulfill the following: be clear to public benefit and community that it serves. Neighborhood and community support would be required, be permitted by city regulations, having required governmental consent and permit if proposed to public property, have the owner's consent if it is on private property, be designed for a no very low maintenance, and it would have to definitely meet our grant timeline. Ineligible projects would be general organizations
Ms.
such as...
Grimsley, could you go back one?
Sure.
The last line, I think it said something about matching. You kind of skipped over that one.
I apologize.
Yes, ma'am.
Matching dollars for dollar for a total grant for amount awarded for volunteer times, in-kind donations, goods and services, or financial contributions.
Okay, so understanding that if we're issuing a $5,000 grant, that they're going to have to show that they're going to provide similar services, whether it's in-kind, hours. Okay, so not
Volunteer
actual dollars,
hours.
but just some kind of in-kind service. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
And the ineligible would be projects, programs, resources that are already offered for free within Palm Beach County, or requests for uniforms. Insurance requirements. As a part of the formal contractual agreement, there would be a certificate of liability insurance based off of the nonprofit that would have to be provided to our risk manager. The grant would be located online at our Riviera Beach or rivierabch.org/grants. That's where the grant would be located, the application, all of the information, any of the videos, the micro videos that will assist our residents in actually applying. That would be also located online. And then, which is where some of the support and resources would come in, a step-by-step guide, how to complete a budget, partnership letter, samples, and some successful writing guidelines that our residents would be able to use in order to apply for these grants. And staff is requesting City Council to actually give us some recommendations on how you would like to see us proceed.
Thank you, Ms. Grimsley. Real quick, if we could go back to the insurance requirement.
Mr.
Now-
Chair, if I may?
Yes.
Just to speak on the insurance requirement, we know that some of the grants are very small and that we didn't want to create this arduous insurance burden. So we just put some language in there. And so invariably we want to work with the granting agent or the agencies that we partner with, that if they do have a food pantry or something, that we at least obtain some certificate of insurance that our risk manager is comfortable with. So we left it in generality because, our insurance requirements on the city side are pretty stringent, but we do want to make sure that we are conscientious of the grants, especially if you're talking about a $500 grant or a $1,000 grant and the like.
And that insurance, carrying that cost of insurance, that liability insurance, can be difficult for those micro grants. So the purpose is, of course, to just get the funds into the community to provide service and resources, but having some type of coverage or leverage. The insurance would be a requirement of the organization to do something in conjunction with the city, or to be issued the funds to do the programming that they're setting out. So I really don't want to have that for these micro grants, or that requirement would be my concern. But of course, Mr. Evans, I know we want to have something to protect the city. So maybe we can dig a little deeper into that.
And so if the board would be inclined to say, hey, we want to have, depending on what the nature of the services are, some proof of insurance with regards to whatever services they do provide, but giving the autonomy and the flexibility for the risk manager to make that decision, we can certainly do that. So maybe it's depending on what the nature of the service is, you may not need, to have the same level of insurance or like, but I think that's one of the things that, when me and Ms. Grimsley had the conversation, that it was, that's probably going to be a hard threshold. And what we want to do is be able to get the money into the community. So that one we'll definitely look to modify if it's the board's direction to make it easier and work with the companies. We can certainly do that. And maybe there's a waiver or some type of other mechanism that provides the coverage that if it's a city contribution that's provided, that the city can absolve itself from any liability or risk associated with it.
Right.
So we can work through that.
I reference it back to some of the community benefit programs that we did with waste management. That wasn't really a requirement when they were issuing funds and we were providing them to the nonprofits. So I wanted something similar, but with some accountables, accountables to these different organizations and programs, so that if we're giving them $500 to $5,000, we know what they're actually doing with it. That was the biggest hurdle that we had as a board, is we didn't have any accountables for the organizations that were receiving the money. And a few of my colleagues wanted to see what the money was being done with, what it was being done in the community for. So this is just the only holdup. I love everything else about the program. So if we can get that moving, but this is the only thing I'd probably want to hear from my colleagues to see what other options we can look at. But otherwise, I'm good with the program. Thank you for presenting it. And if we can roll it out as quickly as possible, I'm supportive of it. The only thing, if you can go back to the number or the dollar amount that's allocated with the breakdown that you have, was my last question. You had a comment, Dr. Spears?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Yeah, I support this program and any public service type program like this. As you just said, Mr. Chair, maybe the dollars And knowing today's numbers, maybe these dollars aren't enough. But clearly the program is an excellent program and I support it.
Thank you. And I agree, this was something we called for as a board because we're getting the calls every day from the nonprofits asking for additional help and support. So to roll this out with an introductory for this first cycle fiscal year and then possibly increasing it, as Dr. Spear has said, with the outcry, with the need and how many different organizations actually replied to the grants. I also wanted to possibly look at, well, the numbers are fine. This is a good introductory for some nonprofits to actually do some decent programming. So thank you. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Miller Anderson?
can you go back to the slide that has the scope? Are there categories of areas that we would like to see? Like if you're going to be doing, the food banking, or if you're going to touch on education, or, decreasing poverty, or do we have certain categories we're looking for them to help?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
We didn't put specific parameters as it relates to categories, but we did say, I think has to be a service that supports the community, and it has to be something that coincides with the overall quality of life. And so I think it's help achieve a vibrant neighborhood, community goals, building a community pride, leverage volunteer effort, create partnerships. And so we kept it really open because we didn't know if the board wanted specific tranches to say, we wanted only so many food banks and we wanted only so many HOAs and the like. And so we left it open-ended so it can be decided. There may be a push for, depending on an issue, that's a prevalent issue in our community and multiple people want to provide it. So we left it open to provide flexibility. But if the board has, some direction some categories, we can certainly do that.
Okay, and is this first come, first served, or first ready? We're gonna have a committee that looks at the applications, or how's that working?
So, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
So what my recommendation would be is a situation whereby we would sit a committee. The committee would look at the grant applications. They would, in essence, provide the grant applications recommendations for funding, and then we would look to move forward with bringing that item to the board as a consent agenda item. If it's the board's pleasure to have it reviewed in another way, we can certainly do that. It's really, based on the direction that you all wish to provide us on it.
Okay, I support that. What I don't want to see happen is, people who are just given the funds and it's not necessarily helping in the community. What I may think is helping in the community may not be what my colleague thinks is helping in the community. So that's why I'm just thinking it needs to be, have people on there who are going to make sure that the service is being done and it's addressing issues that need to be addressed. So that would be fine with me. I think a committee would be good to have, but also at the same time, making sure that there's a process where we're not just handing out the money. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Lanier?
Yeah, I just would like to see on both of these cases with the READ program and with the community grant program, for us to get a copy of these presentations, because it really would have been nice if we'd have seen these before we got here, to have some idea of what we're going to be presented with, to have some time for questions, for feedback. So in the future, please make sure that we get these things before we get to a meeting.
Additional comments? Thank you. And thank you for the presentation, Ms. Grimsley. Thank you, Mr. Evans, for bringing this before the board. 6C, proclamation.
Item 6C is proclamation. Dr. Gerald C. Burke, Remembrance Day.
Ms. Miller Anderson, were you going to read from there, or do you want someone to
Well, given that I'm not there, I would be fine with doing it, maybe during our next meeting. And the only reason I say that is because Miss Dr. Gerald Burke was funeralized on this past Saturday, and the family did receive the proclamation on Friday of this past week. So they have been presented with it. But I would, and for the sake of time, I don't mind waiting until next time.
Okay,
Thank you.
11A.
Item 11A was moved to consent.
Thank you. Did
Item-
we add another discussion? Was there one more discussion
Oh, we
item?
did, I thought it was at the end of the meeting. That would be the mayor's housing authority board appointments.
The appointments. I thought we put it right. Well, I don't think we specified. So if we can maybe take that now, or do we want to leave that for the end? I'm okay with taking it now. Yeah, the appointments, mayor's appointments.
Take it now? Okay, thank you, Chair.
Go ahead, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, just speaking with the Edie John Hurt from the Housing Authority, it's a couple of people, he wanted to have me reappoint and one new appointment. The two reappointments will be Jeffrey Drykson, Jessica Thurman, and the new appointee would be Alex Freeman to the Housing Authority Board.
Thank you. And go ahead, Councilwoman Lanier.
If we could get the backup for that, that'll be good too. Thank you.
We have a seat to you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Ms. Mel Anderson, you're recognized.
Did their term expire or what, is it time for
Yeah.
them to be reappointed?
Yes, it is. That's why he reached out to me with urgency. Their time has already elapsed.
Okay. And then there was a vacancy of some sort?
Yes.
Who was in that position?
Horace Towns.
Oh, okay, so it's been vacant since he left?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, additional comments?
Mr. Chair?
You're recognized.
Yes, I served on the Housing Authority Board for a number of years, and I can tell you that Mr. Jeffrey Jackson and Ms. Jessica Thurman do an excellent job in representing the city in providing affordable housing, and I would encourage the board to approve the mayor's appointments to this board.
Okay. Additional comments?
Mr. Chair?
You're recognized.
So is this the time to make a motion?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that the mayor's appointments for the board be approved.
Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of second. Additional comments? 11A? 11A?
Mr. Chair, item 11A was moved to the consent agenda earlier this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. 11B?
We're on item 11B, resolution number 2825, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the city manager to make application to the Florida Department of Transportation for the design, install, and maintenance of community aesthetics features, authorizing the city manager authority to execute community aesthetic feature agreements with Palm Beach County and Florida Department of Transportation, attached as Exhibit A and Exhibit B, authorizing the chief finance officer to make payment from project number 25010, neighborhood signage rebranding, in the amount not to exceed $250,000 and providing an effective date. Mr. Chair, we have one public comment card for this item. The acceptance of the cards is now closed.
Motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. Ms. Evans?
Mr. Chair and members of the board, if I can have the assistant to the city manager, Ms. Valerie Grimsley, and the public works director, Mr. Roberto Treviso, to make this presentation.
Good evening again. I'm here to present resolution number 2825, which is a neighborhood signage and rebranding. You're aware that with our rebranding, we're also doing a lot of art in public places, beautifying our city in different areas, redesigning our signage, which also goes along with traffic boxes. So we are phasing it out in sections. So what we are actually here tonight to present to you is to do a community aesthetics features in front of our schools. So the first thing that we would be doing is a decorative crosswalks. It should be in your backup. So we would be doing the decorative crosswalks in front of our schools, where our kids walk or where our parents walk. And we've actually engaged our schools in this process. I met with every principal, excluding Lincoln Elementary. That was the only school that I was not able to meet with the principal or administration. But I've met with Suncoast High School, John F. Kennedy, Bethune Elementary, Washington Elementary, to engage them in this process, and they were able to be a part of the process as well by making their selections of what they wanted to see in front of their school with the crosswalks. So that would be the first item that you will see this evening.
Is she talking? Because I can't hear.
No, little intermission.
Oh, okay.
So with the decorative with the decorative crosswalks, what you will see is the crosswalks that you would notice that our students, where they walk to school or our community walk to school, our new branded logo will be in that crosswalk. And I'm not sure if you can actually see it very clearly, but our new logo would be there. And then we provided a word that was given to each principal, and the principal was able to select which word they wanted in front of their schools and those words were either knowledge, empowerment, inspire, or education. And based off of that, each principal was able to select what they wanted in front of their schools. So with that, we would need to actually do a cosmetic agreement with Department of Transportation to actually, implement this process in our neighborhoods. And if given approval tonight, we would be actually submitting that application and with the hopes of implementing this by April. The second phase of this would be, as many of you know, the decorative crosswalks that we want to couple with the crosswalks. We wanted to do the decorative traffic boxes. So the big steel gray traffic boxes that everyone sees when they're driving down the road, but you go in other communities and you actually see them actually wrapped with different types of art. And this would go with our Art in Public Places initiative as well. So on this one that you see on the screen would be Blue Heron East and H Avenue. It is a special design that Mr. Evans could actually speak to if need be, but it would be actually dedicated to Mr. Demetrius McCrae, who did a lot of our art here in Riviera Beach. That still stands. He did Barracuda Bay. He did a lot of our art at Wells and some of the other gyms, at a lot of our schools throughout the Palm Beach County. So this one decorative traffic box would be dedicated to Mr. Demetrius McCrae, and this picture was actually selected by his family. So just to give you an understanding of what some of the other traffic boxes would look like, this is Blue Heron and Broadway near the railroad. Blue Heron and Broadway East. And these are the actual traffic boxes that you're seeing. This is Blue Heron and Morrow Heights at the entrance next to the traffic light. This is Blue Heron West and Military, which is by the Veterans Hospital. This is Blue Heron and Congress North, which is where Fire Station 88, and it's representative of our firefighters. Blue Heron and S Avenue, which is where the proposed police department is. So this traffic box is located very near the KFC. So you see the KFC behind it with our police officers. And on this slide, you'll see that these are all the traffic boxes in Riviera Beach. But initially on phase one, we'll only be doing the 17 traffic boxes located on Blue Heron Boulevard, which would be from Military West to the Singer Island Bridge. That would be phase one. And then actually phase one was already done. Ms. Jacobs had MLK actually already done. So this will actually be phase two, so I apologize. And then after we do that, then we will phase in the other traffic boxes that you see listed with different types of art. And as stated, this is all the names of the crosswalks and the principal selections of what the words that they selected. And with that, I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, ma'am. Comments from the board? Do we have any public comment cards?
Mr. Chair, we have one public comment card, Mrs. Mary Graham.
We'll hear public comment first. Ms. Brown?
Miss Mayor Bram, Riviera Beach. Just a coincidence. My attorney friend and I, for the weekend, for the Valentine's weekend, and we went for Valentine. And just in the city, it was so unique. Of the things here that I'm seeing here tonight, I had no idea about this. But this is thinking out of that box, because we were so thrilled and we were so delighted. The coloration, the wordings, it just highlighted their streets. It just highlighted the events in which the citizen participated in. And I was totally just blown away. And I like this about the schools, giving those kids that opportunity and chance that once when they walk there, whatever they have chosen, empowerment, inspire, those are words that they can build on. And every day when they walk, they will see those words and they will rise to those occasions, to whatever they have chosen there. And Demetrius, God bless you all for recognizing him, for the great works that he has always done in the city here. Tremendous thinking out of the box. And his family has some input. Kudos to you. Kudos to you. So we are a city here that would exemplify who we are, and we are more than just hearsay and they say. We're moving. We're making those steps there to show everybody else that, everything what you hear is not always what you see. And these are the critiqueness that is within any city that we say brings that uniqueness to any city. And just the boxes itself, I think she said about 17 of them. I don't know how many more. But as soon as we can get these online here, and bring our new slogan. I think he's the sergeant for what I was told. What's beneath the surface? This is what I'm talking about. This is what's beneath us here. Brings that inclusiveness for my seniors, for the island, for the mainland, because we're all one. It's no separation of power. So good job here.
Thank you for your comments.
Whoever thought this skill set.
Mr. Chair, in the public comment.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to ask a question about how they come about the young man who they have. We have a dispatcher whose daughter was killed. We have a individual who worked at utilities who was killed here. I just wanted to know how you came about with that specific person versus employees or other individuals.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
You recognize?
That particular discussion occurred, I want to say maybe some years ago, or I'm not sure exactly when he did pass, but there was conversations, and Mr. Mayor, if you have more of a memory of it than I do, but
I'm not finished.
Oh, well, you want to ask
Yeah,
a question?
I'll let you answer. The reason I asked that was because it was not because of the gentleman that was mentioned. I wanted to know why other people or other individuals that have perished here at the city were not recognized.
So about right before Demetrius passed away, he contacted my office. He had seen these projects done in other cities, the painting of the boxes. He said, "Why can't we do that?" My answer was, "Why can't we? Let's get on the phone with Mr. Evans." So we started the process in the conversation on what it would take for us to get our boxes done. And a couple weeks later, he passed away. And so it's really in honor of him because it really was his idea to bring this to our city. And we just thought it'd be a wonderful idea. You know, a couple weeks later, he passes away, to remember him in a way of, just thinking about the city enough to want to beautify it with painting of the boxes. So that's how it came about.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, and
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, for clarity's sake, I think it was his original concept was to recognize his father, I think, or something at the base of that bridge wouldn't kind of happen until,
Right.
Yeah. So that's how that particular situation came to pass. But as it relates to the art and the imagery on that, we can look to certainly address some of the concerns that the board may have with respect to the imagery. Most communities stay away from persons. They do sea turtles, they do aquatic life, they stay away from that. You can't put any words on it. And so, it is really the pleasure of the board how you wish to proceed, but that was how that particular imagery came to fruition.
No, Chair.
Okay.
No, I understand that wholeheartedly. That's the reason why I asked, because they usually don't have people on those things. And that's the reason why I asked about the other individuals not being included, because I usually don't see people included on those boxes like that.
Comments from the board? Additional comments? Recognize.
Chair, yeah, I certainly would like to look into that. If we're going to put a person on there, that we need to also look at our dispatch and her daughter, Mr. Terrence, Utilities Department. If we're going to do people, because if we're going to do one, then we should open it up to other individuals at the city. And I understand why you're doing it, and it's the reason why I asked you was because I've never seen people listed on those.
Mr. Chair?
You recognize.
And I agree with you, Councilwoman, and I disagree with you, because when you look at the pioneers of the city, you can't, we did it in honor of Demetri because it was his idea, but if we open that box, it's many pioneers in the city that could go in the box. And so we just can't say, okay, let's open it up. You're going to get flooded with calls. And And trust me. So I don't think, if we're going to honor because it was his idea to come in with that, I can deal with that. If we open this thing up, I mean, you're going to have, it's going to succeed the street naming. Trust me.
Mr. Chair,
Recognize.
we're not, did I not see, that was a panther that he drew, right? Or, I thought that's what I saw. We're not, you're not talking about putting his picture on there, are you?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
In that particular imagery, it is the panther that he drew, but he's in close proximity to that panther, so his face is in that imagery.
Oh, okay, I couldn't see that. Okay, all right.
And that's how it was a correlation between the art and the imagery, and that's how that imagery was invariably selected.
Additional comments from the board?
Yeah, Chair, and again,
Recognize.
I would still suggest that we look into other individuals because we open it up to one, and there is no disrespect in terms of Mr. McCray. He was phenomenal in his paintings. He was phenomenal in how he drew things here at the city and, at the schools. So certainly that is a given. But if that is the case, then we should look at other individuals as well.
Okay. Additional comments? Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus,
Yes.
Chair Lawson.
Yes.
That item passes with Chair Pro Tem McCoy out.
Thank you. We have one item, not sure if we'll get through it, discussion item. So if we want to have a motion to extend meeting, do that before we start the item.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus, Chair Lawson, passes with Chair Pro Tem McCoy out.
Thank you. 11C?
Item 11C was moved to consent, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much.
We are on item 13, discussion by city manager.
Yes.
Item 13A, consideration of the attainment of external independent legal counsel on behalf of employees who were adversely implicated as a result of the development, production, and distribution of the document entitled Summary, Mayor Ronnie L. Felder's Inquiry into Employee Complaints Climate Survey, July 2024. Mr. Chair, we do have comment cards that were submitted by the public. I'm not sure if you will allow them or not, but we do have.
How many public comment cards do we have?
We have 4 comment cards from the public.
We typically don't take comment cards for discussion items, but it's at the pleasure of the board. I have no problem hearing from the public, simply because it's an item that we've wanted to close out for a while. So if they want to opine, I'm okay with hearing from them. Board?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
It's fine with me.
Miller Anderson?
It's okay.
Okay.
The acceptance of public comment cards on this item is now closed.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Recognized.
Are we going to have the discussion on the beach after this?
Is there an additional item?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there was an item that I asked to be added to the agenda to discuss the beach erosion issue.
Yes. Where did we place that? Was it at the very end? Or it was before this?
I thought it was on.
I'm not sure where we placed it. That was the only question. I thought so.
It should have been item 11D. Did we want to do that one first, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Chair, members of the board, this item that has been added to the agenda is pursuant to a concern that we have with regards to significant beach erosion that has occurred in our community, specifically at the area around the Seawind condos and Villa Delfino. As you may be aware, there is a beach access point that is there that provides access to the northern part of the island. And as a result of the storms in 2024, there was significant beach erosion that has rendered that beach access point non-accessible, and staff is actually working with the vendor to try to build out the stairing system to invariably access the beach, which is going to be a pretty costly endeavor to do that. But nonetheless, we have some significant concerns that are present in that particular situation. From the standpoint is, we have the hurricane season that is upon us. There is areas that are exposed as it relates to the building. The Sea Winds does have a seawall, but Villa Delfino does not. They have the dune systems. In conversations with the county was going to invariably look to do this as part of their dune restoration project that they are currently doing. And when we had conversations back and forth with the county, they were concerned about access and the impassability of some of the vehicles being able to access the beach safely to be able to address the areas that are in question. The county did communicate to us that they would work with us and help facilitate a city-led initiative, that if we wanted to do it, that they would, work with us. Director Treviso is serving as the project manager. He did have a conversation with today, that's the county's department, and said that they would work with us beyond March 1st to coordinate with DEP and Florida Fish and Wildlife concerning the sea turtles, because sea turtle nesting season starts March 1st. And so this item before you this evening is to authorize staff to proceed forward with looking to get the appropriate emergency justifications to look to facilitate this particular project. I've already had and spun up departments such as procurement, as well as development services and public works to look at this particular process and see what we can do to address this. And so this item is a very important item. We believe that we can manage this particular project. We think that the cost for this project could be anywhere between $350,000 to $400,000, but we're still working on getting that particular number. And that's something that as soon as I am able to get some more information about the tonnage of sand that we need, where we're trucking it in, and the potential cost for the contractor, I can be able to provide greater specificity to the board. Councilperson Spiritus has been involved in all the conversations that we've had with the county, as well as been on site, and we've met with residents out there, and they've expressed some of their concerns. And so I do want to provide an opportunity for the council person, the respective district, to share some remarks concerning the situation.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manager Evans, and thank you, Chair. I do have an expertise in this particular field, in beach erosion and beach protection. I've worked with the Army Corps of Engineers and New York State on numerous projects for shoreline protection. These two buildings on Singer Island are an anomaly right now. Most of the buildings are getting seawalls put in, and the county is putting the sand in front of those seawalls. We had a very extraordinary situation at Ocean's Edge this year. We had to get an emergency permit to put in a temporary seawall to protect the building. The underneath of the building was totally scoured, and the concrete piers were exposed. The Ocean's Edge people had to pay $250,000 to bring sand in and to pack it underneath their building. They then put the seawall in, and the county is bringing sand in the project that they're doing right now. But the Via Delfino and part of the Sea Winds do not have seawalls. Either does the beach access that the city owns, which is right in between that, actually adjacent to it. A building is only, this is the first thing you learn in engineering, that a building is only as strong as its weakest point. The weakest point on Singer Island now during hurricane season will be where the Via Delfino and the sea winds and our beach access area are located. If the storm surge goes over that area, all the seawalls that we have will be worthless. The water will just go over that area to the back of all the other buildings, and we will see hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in damage. That area is not covered by FEMA's flood insurance. Only the building itself is covered by FEMA flood insurance. So these areas will experience, like I said, an extensive amount of damage. But barrier islands are there to protect the mainland. That's the purpose of barrier islands. We saw that during Hurricane Sandy and Hurricane Katrina, where water went over the barrier islands and went right up to the mainland by a mile or 2 miles in some instances. Unfortunately, I saw that happen. I had to go back and rebuild buildings in New York that were totally destroyed by the hurricane damage from Sandy. We don't want to wait. We want to be proactive, not reactive here. It's important for us to spend this money. $400,000 is a small amount of money in comparison to what the damage to the island and the mainland will happen if we don't take this protection. Because as my colleague said before, type 4 or type 5 hurricane will be coming. It's not a matter of if it will happen, it's a matter of when it will happen. And we have to be prepared way ahead of time right now. This is an emergency situation. I know that we might even be able to recover some of this money from the Hurricane Milton funds that the state received, which the county is using, by the way, for part of this project. We will probably be eligible to recover some of those monies. It will take us some time to get that, but the odds are that we will be able to recover it. But I think that we have an obligation right now to protect the island and to protect the mainland during this hurricane season. These will be the main weak areas for Riviera Beach. So I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with this project. We can give this city manager, I think it's going to be less than $500,000, but I think we should give the city manager the ability to spend up to $500,000 on this project to protect the city at this time. And I believe it's already been declared an emergency by the governor from Hurricane Milton. So I think the city manager will be able to move forward. We do have a time clock right now, March 1st. After March 1st, we cannot bring sand onto the beach because of turtle season. That means we are stuck with hurricane season being vulnerable. So we have a very short fuse right now. So I urge the council to please move forward and protect the people.
Thank you so much for the comments, Dr. Spiritus. I'm absolutely supportive of it. I've done a lot of work with the island in reference to the beach erosion, in reference to having this done, and I do know the timeline is March 1st. I don't believe we have another meeting between now and then, so I understand that's why you brought it tonight. Typically, I wouldn't support something just off the cuff like this, especially that dollar amount, but I've been doing this for the last 5 years, so I understand it, and I wish it didn't get to this point where we would have had this brought to us sooner, but since it is here now, I can support it. Thank you, Dr. Spiritus and Mr. Evans. Additional comments? Anyone else? And Dr. Spiritus, if you want to save time for a motion.
I made a motion, so.
Thank you. I'll second it. Additional comments from the board? So if you can clearly state the motion that you put on the floor.
I make a motion that the city manager be authorized to work with a private contractor on an emergency basis to bring the necessary sand to protect the Via Delfino and the Sea Winds condominium and the entire Singer Island and Riviera Beach, the mainland as well, on an emergency basis, and he move forward as quick as possible.
I still second that. I'm actually familiar with that as well, because I do know that we're in the timeline for Hurricane Milton. If we don't actually, approve this, we won't be able to be reimbursed for it either. So, additional comments from staff. Ms. Attorney Nguyen, go ahead.
Dr. Spiritus, did you want to include the dollar amount up to $500,000?
Yes, up to $500,000.
Sure. And that is a substantial investment. Ms. Miller Anderson, you're recognized.
Gosh, it made me forget that quick. Gee, what was I going to say? Oh, give me a second.
We'll come back to, we'll come back to you.
I was gonna ask to, Chair,
Yes.
I was gonna ask that we have Mr. Evans to provide us with updates steadily in terms of trying to meet this deadline, that we are aware and up to date about what's happening at each step of the way so that we'll know where we are in the process.
Yeah, because the cutoff, like you said, is March 1st, so we won't actually meet again. So if we can just have, memos or in-person updates as well.
We can do that. Mr. Chair, also to provide a little bit of commentary, we certainly would have tried to bring this item to you quicker, but I was working with the staff and Councilperson Spiritus was working with the county electeds to try to facilitate the county moving forward with that particular project, looking at the contract, restating the contract, telling them we have an access, and then the county did communicate that they just didn't feel comfortable moving with the project. So I think that once we heard that, I think within a couple days we were out on site, and then that happened last week. And so that's why this item is before you so quickly. So we certainly would have wanted to provide more backup, more information, but there is a sense of urgency associated with this. And I have no problem providing board updates, myself and Director Treviso, as we work through this project.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Millinson, go ahead.
Where's the money coming from? Where will we be taking this amount from?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
We would look at our capital budget and see what projects that we have. And so I'll provide you with a memorandum that identifies, but we will make sure that it doesn't adversely impact any projects or any initiatives. So we do have available funding within the budget to do that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, motion made and properly seconded. Roll call.
Councilperson Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus,
Yes.
Chairperson Lawson.
Yes.
That's a unanimous vote with Chair Pro Tem McCoy out.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Spiritus, for bringing it to us, and Mr. Evans, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Last item.
The last item is item 13A, consideration of the attainment of external independent legal counsel on behalf of employees who were adversely implicated as a result of the development, production, and distribution of the document entitled Summary, Mayor Ronnie L. Felder's Inquiry into Employee Complaints, Climate Survey, July 2024. Mr. Chair, we do have public comment cards on this item. The acceptance of public comment cards on this item is now closed.
Thank you. Mr. Evans?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, pursuant to a conversation that the board had at the last regular meeting to bring an item for consideration for obtaining outside legal counsel for an independent review of the employees that were adversely impacted by the production of the report that was provided in July. This item is to seek City Council's authorization to proceed forward in such a fashion. I will share with you that I've had conversations with those employees. They have met with me on multiple occasions concerning the items that are contained in the report and some of the elements that were not afforded to them as part of the investigation that was conducted. I did have conversations with the Human Resources Director concerning this particular matter. And so we looked at ways to try to remedy this situation as best as possible. But I will share with you that each one of the employees that have been impacted as a result of this report have on multiple occasions communicated to me their issues and their concerns with respect to this report, and that the information that's contained in this report is not accurate and does not depict the representation of them as professionals and their tenure within the organization. And so at this time, I would ask for the assistant manager, Ms. Deirdre Jacobs, to provide some additional commentaries, and then Ms. Tennille DeCosta, the Human Resources Director, is present as well. Thank you.
Ms. Jacobs?
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Thank you, Ms. Evans. For the record, I'm Deirdre Jacobs, the Assistant City Manager, here with the City of Riviera Beach. There was an item that was included as a part of the agenda item. The cover memo is attached to that particular agenda item for your information. Here with me this evening is a lady of Franks Edwards, as well as Cedric Clark. Mr. Adam Brody couldn't be here. He had a conflict, nor could Anita Jenkins. I'm going to start off with some points that I wanted to stress to you, and I won't prolong this effort. The city manager's office, through myself, requests approval to hire an independent attorney investigator to respond to the mayor's report of July 2024. The mayor's report investigated employee complaints in the workplace climate and adversely impacted the city manager's office personnel and those that are supervised directly by the city manager and the assistant city manager. The city manager's office submits that the mayor's investigation was flawed and that the adversely affected employees were not given a full opportunity to be heard. Their request calls for independent counsel selected by the city manager's office to have access to all records and documents related to the mayor's investigation and for the preparation of a report. The city manager's office asks the city attorney to prepare a professional services agreement for the selection to be made by the city manager's office. The selected counsel will assist in preparing a response to the mayor's report and advise on related legal matters. I also want to sum up my comments by saying I can't even begin to envision how anyone would think that what was done was proper and in order. It has caused grave damage to all of us, not only personally, but professionally as well. The report was quite imbalanced. We were never given an opportunity to participate in the development of the report, nor were we advised of the contents of it before it was made public to, before it was presented to the public, excuse me. In addition, all of us have personal and professional lives. This may not be the only jobs that we desire to have in our careers. We prepared ourselves well to be professionals that have done well by the city of Riviera Beach. I believe that what has occurred, at least for myself, I'll speak personally, it has caused grave harm. And I don't see any, even if it comes a point in time where an independent counsel comes forth and helps to bring the truth to light, I don't see at any given time where it would go away in a way that it wouldn't cause permanent harm to our professional careers. I don't know if Aledia or Cedric would like to make additional comments.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Aledia Frank, Special Events Manager. Ms. Jacobs said a lot, but the humiliation for me, not being able, it wasn't even fact checked. I am someone's daughter. I'm someone's wife. I'm a human being, and it hurts. All I want is an opportunity just for the truth to be told, and you'll be surprised. That's all we want. So I thank you. Just let us be heard. Let the truth come out. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
To add additional commentary to that, you all saw that not too long ago, we had the Office of the Inspector General come in and share with you an investigatory report that they conducted. And when they went through that report, they let the facts and information, the data, be the determining factor as to who in fact was the target of the investigation. And they afforded those persons the opportunity to review the data and provide their comments and their commentary as it relates to the report. The persons that were impacted and the offices that were impacted as a result of this were not afforded the same rights. The information was released to the public without an opportunity to rebut the actual items. It was already published, conclusions already made, comments already furnished. In addition to some of the summaries that were contained are not actual depictions of the entire testimony that was provided. And so this particular item is to make sure that there is clear understanding between the delineation of duties and responsibilities between the manager and the mayor's office as it relates to the personnel matters and who is responsible for those particular issues. We don't want to downplay the situation because as the staff communicated, it has impugned their character, their reputations, and in some cases, their ability to manage. There is multiple emails that we can share with you whereby if there's an issue that staff decides that they want to and start including elected officials in daily responsibilities and correspondence, there is a reason why those delineations and duties are separated. the government has natural push and pull levers. And so that is why it is important to have an independent counsel come in to review and provide a response on behalf of those that were impacted. Because as you see, those that were impacted in this report, there's news story after news story after news story, and people, we can't have a meeting whereby it's not discussed to some degree, and it's now tongue-in-cheek gestures that these staff members have to deal with. I've had conversations with them. I have seen them cry. I have seen them not be able to have an opportunity for their voice to be heard. And this particular item provides an opportunity for, if the board is inclined to support them, an opportunity to look at the information. Also, I will tell you, I had conversations with and can furnish, if necessary, a situation where there is no information that was extracted from IT to substantiate the information contained in the report. And also, I can get an affidavit from the former HR director where no information was extracted from personnel files or documentations to substantiate. The report is largely hearsay and person's interpretations. In some cases, some of the information dates back to years. Even some things predates tenures of some of these individuals in their respective positions. So we would be inclined to ask for the board's consideration of this particular item.
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized.
can HR come up and city attorney? Did I do an investigation or inquiry?
Through the chair,
Recognized.
when I reviewed the cover letter before I came to the agenda, for the meeting, your report says inquiry.
Can you just explain what the difference is between an inquiry and an investigation?
An inquiry is fact-finding. You gather all the facts, you see if there's a violation of policy, charter, whatever it may be, and if there is, if I was doing an inquiry, I would then get with my city manager and the city attorney to see if we're going to move it to an investigation.
Is that what the charter told me to do? To give it to the city manager? I mean, it became public because it's public records. Once any employee had reported, it has to go, it's public records, right? This is the key. This could have been fixed, right? If everybody, this board, would held him accountable, right? It's an inquiry. I never did an investigation. I took comments, anybody, you guys we put it out. Hey, listen, employees are having issues. They want to come talk. We didn't shut nobody down. Anybody, any one of you could have came, anybody. We took an inquiry. This is what was said. Give it to the city manager. Now, if you read the chart, it says the city manager should do an investigation. Never happened. Inquiry? I didn't do an investigation. We just took statements. Nothing on that page said investigation. He's supposed to do investigation. But, it doesn't amaze me or surprise me that nobody wants to hold people accountable, right? And they cried. Mr. Evans, I heard employees cry too, that you never even took the time to go see about 33 employees to see what was going on and to straighten that stuff out. So I be got doggone, if you're going to sit up here now, 2 years later, just about, man, when I had conversations with you, Attorney Wynn, assistant manager, took y'all out to lunch and explained to you. I met with all of the directors and said I was calling an investigation. I took you out to my breakfast spot, in the coastal on E Avenue, and say, Mr. Evans, I don't want to get into this, but you forced me to. That's 3 different times I told you about the employee concerns. But you're not going to be a man and take responsibility? Listen, I take responsibility, man. I did what the charter told me to do, but I'm not going to sit up here because technically I have to say nothing because I've done what I'm supposed to do. But it's shameful that people won't hold you accountable to do what you're supposed to do. You should have called an investigation. You should have been right on it. You should have been right on it. Man, let me tell you something. I'm looking in your face and look at me in my face. I look out for you, man. I tried my best, even down to calling the dang on coffee and muffin and saying, Mr. Evans, I'm hearing stuff about you in the streets, man. Let's get, But you allowed me to do this investigation because you wouldn't do it, and the employees kept coming to me. I kept telling you I didn't want to get into this. So I never crossed you. I never crossed the line. I always came to you. But because you wouldn't do nothing, what I supposed to do? Yeah, somebody said stay in my lane. I did. Look at the charter, what the mayor says. But, you know, I can sleep well at night. Trust me. Because you know why? Man, my heart was right in it. And I know you have trouble sleeping. I don't. My heart is clean in this, man. I didn't follow nobody. I followed what was right. You didn't. So again, I agree. I support, listen, getting you an attorney. We close it out and do what needs to be done. But to sit here and act like I'm the only one responsible ain't true. It's not true.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
To the mayor's comments, we did have conversations, and I did ask the mayor for the names on December 28th, and the mayor refused to provide me the names of those individuals. And so you can't have conversations with persons that are aggrieved if you don't know who they are. He said his comments were, you need to go meet with your people. And did he ever ask me, did I have conversations with staff? Did I meet with departments? I would argue that I'm probably more accessible than any administrator that you would find in Palm Beach County. And so to sit here and communicate that I was not accessible or I didn't talk to employees, that's not accurate. The other side of it is, as it relates to the inquiry that's referenced here, there's conclusions that were made. There was assumptions that were made. There was reputations that were impugned. An inquiry is finding the information and then handing the information, but not drawing any conclusions until an investigation is complete. You cannot impugn the reputation of persons with not affording them an opportunity to know that they are in fact a target of an investigation or that they are subject of investigation. You saw a situation where the Office of the Inspector General provided you with information concerning an investigation and the process that they went through. This is the same thing. There is no, we can call it an inquiry all we want, but there was even some of the ways in which the investigation or the inquiry was handled, you would never have a situation where you would have a group session where multiple people will be able to provide testimony with regards to that. As it relates to accountability, I am certainly willing to accept responsibility and accountability for anything that I am responsible for. And I would, Mr. Mayor, I didn't interrupt when you were communicating, so I appreciate if you would allow me to finish. So I have no problem accepting responsibility for the things that I am responsible for. Am I perfect? Is the situation perfect? Absolutely not. But I will tell you that everybody on our team comes to work to try to do the best they possibly can with the resources they can provide. If you look at the facts concerning the wages we have provided to employees, the training that we have provided, our tuition reimbursements, the Reimagine universities that we've done, the things that we have done to invest in the employees has been substantial. And so I don't want to be dismissive about that, but I really know that the employees that were mentioned in this particular inquiry investigation were never provided an opportunity when this information was released. And then it was said that it could be an opportunity to supplement. Well, the damage had already been done. The information was already out. That an investigation actually is provided for. If you look at statutes, when there's an investigation, it's confidential. I also signed documents that provided for whistleblower protections for anyone that participated to that.
You signed documents?
I signed a letter, yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, the item before you this evening is for the board's consideration of the independent investigator to address those that are have been damaged or have been impacted as a result of the inquiry.
Mr. Chair?
You recognize?
Mr. Evans, maybe you can explain, so I'm a little confused here. It's going to be an independent investigator? is what they're asking for?
Independent legal counsel. My apologies.
Okay, well, you see, an independent investigator I would have no problem with. Yeah, as the mayor said, if you are willing to take on an investigation, I would support your investigation, to follow up on the mayor's inquiry. I would support funding for that. I think that that would be the correct way to move right now. And then we'd have to see what happens after the investigation, whether we move any further. But I think that you should really move forward with an investigation. I have no problem funding that and come out with your own report based on the mayor's inquiry.
Mr. Chair, if I may say something.
Recognize.
I just want to say that you can't have the city manager investigate himself. So if the board's direction is for him to conduct an investigation, he's included in the inquiry. He can't investigate himself. So it would have to be somebody else besides the city manager, because it wouldn't make sense. It's not appropriate to investigate himself.
Could the city attorney do that?
If it's the will of the board.
Attorney Nguyen?
I am not an HR investigator, so I would not do it. Could I facilitate hiring someone? Absolutely.
I think that was.
Is that what you meant?
That was what he
Okay.
meant by that, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to actually do the
I
investigation.
did need some clarification, since that looks like the route you're going to take. I need to know whether Mr. Evans wants to be included in that as well, because I haven't gotten clarity on that, Mr. Evans. I know the employees who want to, they were very clear, but I don't know if you want to. So that's the first question.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
I would like to be included, but more specifically, I think that the office of the manager and the powers and authorities that are contained as it relates to the manager should be a part of what is done, and to make sure that these particular issues don't have a common place in this organization moving forward. There is a delineation between the duties and responsibilities, and so I just want to make sure that that is part and parcel of what will be looked at. And that's my comments for now.
And so
Mr.
my second concern was exactly that. I gave you an opinion that the charter allows the mayor to do an inquiry. You asked me to get an outside opinion, and I did that from Ms. Gatto, and she agreed with me. And then my understanding is that you also received one from Brent Schneider with White Sirota. And
Mr. Chair, who received another one? From who?
I'm sorry,
You said it was another opinion done by who?
the third one that
Who authorized the third one?
I
Did you authorize?
believe at one point
Did you authorize the third?
I did not.
Who authorized it?
I believe at one point Ms. DeCoste said that the
Okay, let me ask this
manager.
question. Do any legal, if we're hiring somebody to do legal, does that go through the legal department? Who makes those decisions?
I do.
So you don't know nothing about the third opinion?
I know now. I did not know before it was received. No.
Okay, so let's be transparent then. So another lawyer was hired to have an opinion on me that didn't come through you, that you know nothing about.
Right.
Do the charter give the manager authority to do that?
No.
But he did it anyway.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Recognize.
My conversation with Director DeCoste was, when the report first came out, I said, I don't think that the mayor had the authority to investigate personnel matters, because the charter says the books and the records. It doesn't say personnel, and actually in the charter, it does communicate that the manager has the sole authority to conduct investigation. So in a phone call conversation to Ms. DeCoste, I said, I'm not 100% sure that we can even do anything on this report, because I don't know if it's within the mayor's scope and authority. I said, do me a favor, make a phone call and see if, Brett can provide us with a perspective on that. I never got anything in writing, first
I got, Mr. Evans, I got an invoice.
Mr.
I got
Chair,
a 2-hour
Mr. Chair,
invoice.
I never got anything in writing. Secondly, we have, and I don't know if Ms. Nguyen remembers this, but HR directors, previous HR directors used to work with calling attorneys. Our development services department calls attorneys, and they do not go through checking with legal counsel every time they discuss with attorneys.
Mr. Chair, you should stop that. Let me ask a question. Did the attorney that was hired for you, what was the premise of that, you getting that attorney?
Through the chair,
Recognize.
through Brett Schneider, you're
Did
referring
did you originally get him to find out about me?
to, based on the conversation with the city manager.
So it was nothing to do with HR. That decision was made to hire a lawyer after our attorney, after the attorney that the board authorized her to hire said what authority was. He took it upon himself to go around the city attorney, to come to you, to put you in the middle of something.
Through the chair,
Recognize.
I don't remember the timeline, Mayor. I just know that my city manager advised me, what he just stated, that he wants to know if you had the authority, can I make a call? And that's what I did.
Now, board. The charter does not allow him to do that. But I know everybody's gonna hold their head down now, right? I deal with it because I got proof. I got invoices. If the charter says that you can't skate around the charter, that's what everybody's trying to do, right? He went outside legal, goes to HR, hires a lawyer after he has two opinions. And the charter does not give him permission to do that. Now, you can argue all you want to about my position and what the charter says, but he went all around that.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I do have some authority that's provided for as it relates to purchasing and spending and the like. And I was asking a question for the purposes of obtaining clarity to address the particular issues. And so since we have been told that we cannot go to attorneys, Ms. Costi can tell you every situation that we have as it relates to labor and employment, she calls the city attorney to get authorization to communicate. But we've talked to attorneys multiple times, from union negotiations to a variety of different things. We never used to have to check in before we went to get legal services.
Mr. Chair.
Hold on one moment, guys. Mayor Felder and then Attorney Wynn. Mayor Felder.
Skating around it.
Mr. Lawson.
Making this general. It's an issue, man. And you know what? I'm gonna say this. I didn't suspend him. He knew I had it. That's why he ran out to my truck that night. I haven't spoken to Mr. Evans over about 2 years. He ran to my truck that night when I said I had an invoice, right? Didn't want to touch it because the city's already sensitive right now. But don't come in here and play games with me and act like I may be quiet. Don't take me for granted.
Attorney Wynn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason that I brought up that issue was not to get into a debate with Mr. Evans about my responsibilities versus his, but it was just to clarify if that was the board's direction. My position on that is that we already have three opinions. Mine, Ms. Godot's, and Mr. Schneider's, that all say the same thing, that the mayor has that responsibility. To ask again, we'll be asking for a fourth opinion, but if that is the direction of the council, that's what we can do. The other issue, and I want to clarify, Mr. Evans, is that, yes, departments use other attorneys, but only after we enter into a legal services agreement with my office first. So for instance, we use Ms. Early for development services. Mr. Sermons knows that he can call her. She's under contract for that purpose. It's not like, and we've had this issue when I first started here, the previous HR director, I would get bills from attorneys and not know where they came from. I can't sign off on invoices and I don't even know what work is being requested. And when we had that discussion, you backed me up on that. And you told them not to hire attorneys without coming to me first.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Miller Anderson.
I know that this came up, but what we're discussing right now is not a part of the agenda item.
It's not.
Maybe this is something that we can take up at another meeting if we need to, but I don't see where it's being very fruitful at the moment. But to get back to the item as it is written on the agenda, I would be ready to make a motion.
Thank you. Before you make the motion, we did have one more comment, Ms. Jacobs.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Lawson. I wanted to reflect on the reason why we're here tonight, and it is to ask that you would please consider the attainment of an external independent legal counsel on our behalf. That means that we're not, just as the mayor was afforded the opportunity to select the counsel that he wanted to work with to begin to develop and create his inquiry, we're asking for to be afforded that same opportunity for us to have external independent counsel that we select so that it'll be a fair and balanced process.
Mr. Chair, just for some clarification, Ms. Jacobs, just because you use the plural we, and I'm grouping in my mind all of you, the 5 or 6 of you, into one, and you do mean one attorney, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized.
Attorney Nguyen, is it legal for the city to pay for independent counsel for employees in a case that might end up being a suit against the city?
That is an issue. However, right now we are at the stage of giving them an opportunity to respond to the mayor's inquiry. Had they gone to the attorney who handled the inquiry when it was going on, they would have had that same opportunity. Many of these can result in lawsuits, depending on what the claims are. So I think that I'm fine with getting an attorney to address the complaints as it relates to them rebutting the report. It could backfire, absolutely. But they would have had that same opportunity had they gone to speak with Ms. Bridgman.
Mr. Lawson.
I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
No, well, Mr. Chair, so do they still, Mayor and Ms. Nguyen, these employees still have an opportunity to go speak to the original attorney?
We closed that opportunity, and Mr. Mayor, if I'm wrong, you can correct me. At one point, when I believe HR asked and we didn't get any responses, we closed it. We couldn't keep it open forever.
What was her response?
I'm sorry?
I think you got a response. What were your response?
Through the chair,
Recognized.
they did not want to speak to the attorney that the mayor used.
So, Mr. Lawson.
Hold on one moment. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Costi. The question was, if you got responses, and you said that their response was they didn't want to speak to this attorney.
Right, there's different responses. Some said they don't feel comfortable.
Right.
Some say they don't want to speak to the person. ACM Jacobs went into a lot of detail, which I don't want to read out loud, but she went into a lot of detail why she feels we should have an independent attorney come in and review it, and so forth.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, that really doesn't answer my question.
Right.
What I'm trying to find out is, shouldn't we be hiring the counsel, not the employees? Shouldn't we be the one who's handling this investigation at this point, or inquiry, continuation of an inquiry at this point? It should be coming through, I believe, through the city staff, not through independent employees that could possibly sue the city. And they may be right. I don't know. There's always 3 sides to every story. I think that's what the mayor was trying to get at with his inquiry. I just think that the city should be handling this, not the individual employees. I have no problem bringing somebody else on right now to continue the inquiry. And I understand that they may have a problem dealing with the original counsel that was there. They may think that counsel was jaded somehow, whatever. But I just think that it should be coming through our legal counsel's office or through HR right now to continue the inquiry. And then we know, after that, we'll know whether or not we go a step further.
Jacobs?
Thank you.
Thank you.
The mayor was allowed to select the attorney that he wanted to represent the process that he used. We're asked to be afforded that same opportunity. And also, I think it was on pages 50 or 51 of that report, the particular attorney, Mrs. Bridgman, that they used, she came up with her recommendations and her decision. So it wouldn't be reasonable. It wouldn't make sense for us to go behind the recommendation and decisions that she had already made in her final report and Mrs. DeCosta with regards to us being asked if we wanted to participate in the process. I wish you could please explain to the council people and the public when we were asked to participate.
Okay, through the chair.
Recognize.
So yes, they were asked, but it was after the fact of everything was published out in the open already. But they were offered to speak, but it was after the fact.
Right.
So,
Mr. Chair, and it was 3 times. I mean, granted, it was after the fact, but they were given 3 opportunities.
And to that point, that is where my concern lies. And just looking up, I know we've talked about inquiry versus investigation. Basic definition is a less formal way of seeking information, while an investigation is a more formal way. But both are involving gathering information, and it's just to gather information about what's going on. With seeing the OIG report, that was my only concern. And that's the consistency that I've had from the very beginning. As soon as this investigation came out, I called the mayor's office multiple times. I asked during the meeting, when are we going to have it posted? When is it going to be published? What are we doing? What's going to be the status? And I think that without allotting the supervisors coming from the private sector the opportunity to also to participate in the inquiry, I think that's where it was skewed and biased. And I understand the concerns because I've worked in the private sector for a number of years. Employees can say and do anything they want. The mayor has identified many issues within staff that we've seen, but there's also 3 sides to every story. So with there being the employee concerns, with there being staff leadership concerns, and then with there being the actual factual truth, my concern is that we did not properly do the investigation. And since this came through the mayor's office, I would say that the mayor's office did not properly complete the investigation so that it could be for the betterment of the city, since it wasn't a derivative of city attorney's office. My concern right now is that who is going to select the attorney that represents the individuals that were named? And if attorney Nguyen, did you select the mayor's attorney or did the mayor pick one?
I located Mrs. Bridgman,
Okay.
and the mayor interviewed her and decided that he wanted to work with her.
Okay, so I would agree with Councilman Spiritus's sentiments that we still need to go through the city attorney's office. But if we can have different recommendations for the individuals to interview and take the same steps that the mayor took in regards to selecting a counsel to do an inquiry or investigation from who is going through the city attorney's office, because that's what our charter says. All legal counsel that the city's paying for has to be originated through the city attorney's office.
Mr. Chair,
Recognized.
and I would accept recommendations from, I'm going to just refer to them as the group. I would welcome those recommendations to see who they have in mind and whether, because for instance, there could be a conflict. You know, in various ways there could be a conflict, but I would recommend recommendations. I would welcome recommendations from them.
I think the biggest sentiment is trying to figure out that the truth is brought out, that the concerns, because I've heard complaints from employees. I've heard complaints from management where they've had to deal with this because an inquiry was done that has exposed our entire city. Mayor Felder has tried, as he said multiple times, to resolve it behind the scenes, and he felt this was the need to do it. But constantly, we put ourselves as a community in this position to where we're a public spectacle. And unfortunately, if each individual is not doing their job, we become the butt of all jokes. The reason I'm not on this board is because it was a public spectacle, because I would have preferred a phone call or legal counsel would have been notified when the issue came arised for there to be a problem with qualifying. Legal counsel in all other communities works with their clerk's office to make sure that they understand the process and that we don't become the butt of jokes. But I won't be serving this board after March 11th because nobody was contacted in legal counsel or the clerk's office to determine the proper protocol of a check versus a debit card. And as my mayor said, I'm taking responsibility because ultimately I'm the one sitting home. So I'm responsible for it, whether I followed the mystery woman or the individual. So whatever that process is or what the steps is, you know, I would have loved to get a phone call in the respect, but otherwise I didn't. So as of right now, I just don't want us to continue as a city to be a public spectacle. And I think that as a community, from every department, we're making this a spectacle. So as of right now, we don't need to continue to argue, discuss this publicly. We can talk behind closed doors and have this resolved. But our sunshine requires this public conversation. So if we can move forward with the motion, I'm not sure how much discussion we need to have and continue to belittle our community. We need to empower it and uplift it. So I'm going to support all of my employees, the ones that were named in the investigation and the ones that are sitting in front of me as well, because they're all part of our employees from the department. I want to protect all 600 plus people that work for the city, and I'm concerned about all their issues. So I definitely want to hear every single one of them. So I would actually support an investigation up to the amount that was used in the mayor's office, but also going through our charter and requiring that recommendations or somebody is selected that can be agreed upon by the employees. That would be my sentiments.
Through the city attorney.
Yes, sir.
Is that a motion?
It's not a motion. I'm waiting on Ms. Miller Anderson, but I wanted to finish our discussion. Ms. Lanier,
Yeah,
I know you had a comment.
that this attorney, investigator, whomever, should be chosen through the city manager's office. And I say that because of the conflict. The city council has been advised through the council selected by the city attorney's office that the mayor's initiation and use of the report and the full contents thereof was proper. Those opinions, however, did not place the mayor's report and investigation in the context of what actually occurred or did not occur in the investigation, but rather more in the context of a hypothetical investigation. The opinions of the mayor's attorney, investigator, and those of the outside counsel selected by the city attorney and even the city attorney herself did not refer to the details of the subject matter of each witness to determine whether initially the prospective subject matter of the complaint and the desired results would be compatible with the charter-based restrictions of non-interference. So that's just one of about 7 or 8 that I've written out. And if Councilwoman Miller Anderson wants to make the motion, my motion is in line with what is stated on the discussion item, attainment of an external independent legal counsel, going through the city manager's office. Now, if the city attorney wants to, have some conversations with them, that's fine. But I think that the investigator being picked needs to come through the city manager's office to avoid any conflict.
Mr. Chair,
Recognized.
was that just me or you? Was that echo?
That was you.
Okay. Ms. Lanier, you said investigator. If you hire just an investigator, and I think they requested an attorney, they did say, they said independent legal counsel, but if you're going to say an investigator, then I don't have a problem with the manager.
I said /lawyer/investigator.
So my position, Mr. Chair, is that.
Right, the charter.
Right, if the direction is for the manager with, I guess, the assistance of the HR director or however he wants to do it, wants to hire an HR investigator, I have no problem with that. They will be responsible for, of course, I'll sign off on the professional services agreement, but they will be responsible for the billing and the supervision and all of that. If you don't believe that's a conflict for the manager's office to do it when the manager has already said that he wants to be a part of the investigation. However, if it's going to be an attorney, I do not want to give up my right under the charter, as that is my responsibility.
Chair.
Recognized.
Yeah, that's fine. But I also understand that the city attorney's role is limited to appearing or looking at a contract for legal sufficiency. That's fine as well. And it should be identical to that of the mayor. I wrote this stuff down before. The mayor selected an attorney investigator, so that should be the case with this group. Now, if Ms. Miller Anderson wants to make the motion, we can do that because we'll talk all night about this. This is an issue that has been going on for the last 2 years without any end in terms of having the other parties interviewed and having a response to the report. And I think that everybody's issue with this report is this. Before the report was issued, the people listed in the report did not have an opportunity to say yay or nay about what was in the report. We, as a council, did not know about the report until after it had gone out to the public and people were calling with copies of it. So to be fair, and this is for all employees, if someone accuses you of something, you have the right to confront your accuser. You have the right to say to them that this is true or not. And that was not afforded to this group at all. And that is the crux of this discussion. That the people who were accused of something did not get the opportunity to defend themselves until after the report was public and given to people as a copy through even the clerk's office. It was a public document at that point. But to not tell the people what was in the report, to not ask the people, is this true or not? To not tell your colleagues, hey, this report is coming out, is just inexcusable. We are at a position where we're talking about something 2 years later because we did not have an opportunity. That the lady could have just easily asked the people before the report went out, hey, these people are saying things about you. Is this true or not? And it would have been done. But after the fact, to tell people, oh, yeah, you can talk to the lady now, the lady has made conclusions in the report. She has said in the report that this is a problem or not a problem or whatever the case may be. She has made her conclusions. And for you to come back after the fact, after the conclusions have been made, to ask someone to now give a statement is just ludicrous. So, Ms. Miller Anderson, if you want to make the motion, we can move forward with this item.
Mr. Chair.
You're recognized.
Question to Attorney Nguyen. If the group brings recommendations to you, what would be how do you determine whether or not you want to use any of those people or not? I know you mentioned conflict, but what else would be, why would you say no to something that they're a recommendation?
Typically, not in this instance, but typically, I call attorneys. For instance, if I get a recommendation from someone else in a different matter, I'll call them, I'll talk to them, I'll see if I believe that they're knowledgeable enough to represent the city and do a good job. If I feel comfortable working with them, I'll check their background on the bar site. I may ask other people who I trust, other colleagues, for their opinion of that person and their practice of law.
Okay. So I want to make a motion that we move forward with allowing the group, those who were mentioned in this situation, to give recommendations for an external independent legal counsel. Let me just read what it says on here. I want to make a motion that we attain an external independent legal counsel on behalf of the employees who were adversely implicated as a result of the development of the mayor's inquiry report, but provided that we allow them to give recommendations. I'll leave it at that.
I want to second that, but I also want to add a time frame too for this contract to be done in the next 30 days. We need to put this to bed.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Motion's made and seconded. Board, we're gonna lose our quorum with Dr. Spiritus leaving.
How?
So the business of the city cannot be completed. We can no longer make a motion or vote because we don't have a quorum. Because we can't make a quorum, the city attorney would typically recommend that we adjourn the meeting. But we're going to go ahead and take comments and discussion from the council before we adjourn the meeting, as long as we don't take any business of the city. I'm very disappointed that we lost our quorum before we were able to make a motion to get this done, and I'm sorry to all of our employees because we wanted to make sure that we could close this out. But hopefully this can be brought to us and brought back to us again. Comments? City Manager?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Palm Beach County Days is the first week of March. And so I was going to see if the board would be inclined to move your March 5th meeting to March 10th, Monday.
We can't make any decisions, Mr. Evans. We don't have a quorum.
Oh,
We're just having discussion right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any notices, any events, anything that needs to be said,
Sorry.
closing comments?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Attorney Nguyen?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Felder?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to the residents, today is a tough day for me. It could be my last potential meeting after 6 years. I just wanted to thank those people that supported me. I'm very privileged to have sat in the seat of the city. Very privileged that one of my greatest heroes, my dad, got an opportunity before he passed away to see this accomplishment in my life. To you residents who I see out, whether I'm walking through City Hall, through the city, that's just wishing a better outcome for my life or another opportunity to continue to sit in this seat. To the many employees that I still get calls from that are wishing I still had another opportunity to fight for them. My heart is warm and my heart is also hurt because in some way I feel like I let you down because taking full responsibility of some of the mistakes I made in qualifying. But I wouldn't take anything back that I've done. This has been a great 6 years of my life. I'm proud that you hear me say I'm able to sleep at night because anything and everything I've done for the city has come from the heart. And anybody that really knows me and I touched them would tell you the truth that I didn't do this for myself. I really done it to help the city. One of my inspirations were, if you know my life 25 or 30 years ago, I ran the streets that my dad started J Ministries on, S Avenue. And today I'm lucky to be the CEO of J's Ministry, but also go back into the same areas and offer hope to the boys I ran with to let them know that they have an opportunity. If they change their life, who knows where it can go. So again, I thank you guys for trusting me, for believing in me. Even the ones that didn't, if you called me, I was there because I understood it was being the mayor for the whole city. So once again, I'm sad today, but I'm also happy. But I want to thank you guys, my voters, for giving me the opportunity. And I tell you, I don't say this to be arrogant, but even if I had the race, then we're confident that we would still be sitting in this seat. So again, thank you guys for the opportunity. I love you. Keep your head up, and this city will move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Miller Anderson? Ms. Miller Anderson? Ms. Leonard?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the young lady who said that I did not have any degrees. I do have the degrees, and the thing about it is that I was going to have the guy who does the Walter to put it up on the screen, but I said, no, who am I trying to prove something to? The young lady also said that I talked about her educational background. I never did that. The information that we had about this young lady was given to us by the city's attorney. I never said publicly, I never said behind closed doors. This information was provided by the city attorney. So I am not going to sit here and try and dig through my degrees, which I have here, to prove anything to anyone. And it is very disheartening that people will, I guess they're just resorting to anything at this point to be able to discredit me because they have nothing else. And those are my comments.
Thank you for your comments. Additional comments? No further business. Meeting is adjourned.